Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is Saturday, May 9th, Sunday, May 10th for those of you across the pond and beyond. Welcome to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I'm so glad you guys can join us tonight on our Spreaker.com. That's where we're live this evening, and we're on so many different outlets. We're on Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Tumblr, YouTube, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, Deezer, as well as Podcast Addict. I hope that this lockdown has been treating you guys kindly and you haven't lost too much of your mind. Summer is just around the corner as far as summer break, so I mean, there's really no difference except for there'll be no more homeschool. I can't wait. So, on the show tonight, we have the beautiful and talented Patti Negri, and she is an internationally known psychic medium and good witch. She is best known for her recurring roles on the Travel Channel's #1 show, Ghost Adventures. She is the international best-selling author of Old World Magic for the Modern World, Tips, Tricks, and Techniques to Balance, Empower, and Create a Life You Love. Patti's body of work includes appearances on such shows as MasterChef, Beverly Hills Pawn, and Jeff Lewis's Flipping Out. She has graced numerous magazine covers, contributed to over 20 books, and conducted seances on radio, film, and TV, working with such legends as John Voight, Josh Duhamel, Emma Stone, and Gregory Hines. Hey, Patti, welcome to the show. It's awesome to have you on.
Thank you so much. It's awesome to be here. I love it. Thank you.
No worries. I talked to you a long time ago about being on and then kind of fell off the planet with some crazy stuff in my life, but I'm glad we were able to get back together and get together and actually get to hang out for a few hours.
Me too. Now that things are calm. Ha ha ha. In the world.
I know. They're very crazy. I never thought I'd be in times like this. What about you?
No, I mean, it's so funny. For years, I keep talking about there's a change coming and the shift and the veil is lifting and it's going to be a different world. I had no recollection it was going to look like a worldwide pandemic. Didn't get that one psychically. I mean, I saw the shift, and I do believe in the long run it's going to be this pretty amazing thing. But sadly, a hard lesson, a high prize lesson. But we will get through it, and we will get through it in flying colors. Most of us.
Well, it's amazing how the Earth has recovered so quickly. I mean, it could feel like forever for a lot of us, but it really has done so much for our planet, and it's amazing in how quick of a time that it's happened. You would expect these sort of changes in months or years, but it's pretty epic how our Earth is able to cleanse itself and
heal.
Yeah.
So hopefully we will take note of that and, keep a lot of the good parts with us.
Yeah, I was saying to a friend, maybe we should do, like a month off every year and see how that does.
Yeah. That would be great. Everything shuts down. Stay in your house. But yeah, just again, to me, it's really about awareness. It's about waking up, and I guess just they were shaking us too hard. We just, we didn't wake up. We didn't wake up. It took something this drastic.
Yeah.
And now we're waking up. Some of us.
And there's been a lot of amazing sightings as well. Not only UFOs and such, but different creatures and different bodies of water. I saw one that kind of looked like the top of Godzilla's head. You could see like the ridge of the eye and the top of it on a video on Paranormal caught on camera. That was pretty insane. It's like, what is that? But you could see behind it was quite large, whatever it was. And then in Italy...
That's awesome. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go on.
Well, I was going to say in Italy, their moats and stuff are clearing up. And at first I thought it looked like Nessie. But then when I thought about it some more, it actually looks like a dinosaur, the one with the long neck and head and the roundish body and the fins on the side. I can't remember what it's called, but I was like, oh my gosh, that looked like a baby one of those. Who knows what's out there?
Yeah, no, I believe it's because we're going from our little three-dimensional world where that kind of stuff doesn't exist. Extraterrestrials, ghosts, Nessie, Bigfoot, to as we're picking up this vibrational level and we're picking up the realms, different dimensions, we're seeing them now.
Yeah, and that's been coming
So
for
yeah,
quite a while. How was your Halloween this year?
my Halloween was great. I was all over. It is always my busy season. Come October, being the Santa Queen, doing what I am. I was in the 3 days around Halloween. I think it was speaking at UC Santa Barbara. I was in New Orleans for 5 days at the Vampire Ball. Flew to Texas came back home, did a thing with Bridget Marquardt and Holly Madison to talk to Hugh Hefner for Halloween, because who else do you want to talk to?
Oh,
And
yeah.
then jumped on a plane and was in Dallas for Halloween night, I think. So it was like 12 places in a minute and a half. But it was great. And I'm pagan, so it's my holiday. It's Samhain. It's the time to celebrate the dead. It's time to cross over the dead. It's a beautiful spiritual holiday, as well as dress up, get crazy. And when the veil is the thinnest, so spirit activity is crazy. So yeah, Halloween's always my woo-hoo. Last year we were doing a 4-hour live special for Ghost Adventures, which was the craziest show ever. Because ghosts, 4-hour live show, ghosts do not know the term break for commercial. They don't.
Yeah.
We don't talk with them, and they'd go like insane. It's like, but we're on commercial. Can you do that again? No, you can't do that again. You're a spirit. It was pretty funny. It was good experience. So yeah, this Halloween, but again, that's probably when it's been happening a long time, like you said, but this whole thing has been coming in and the vibration is raising and raising, but it's been really heavy since then.
For me, and I'm a lot like you, like Halloween is like my Mardi Gras every year. Like it's my favorite time of year, and I love dressing up and I don't know, being something different. But this year, I actually got to go down to New Orleans right before Halloween, and then I was in Arkansas at my sister's house for Halloween, and it was the most active, like spiritually, Halloween that I've ever had. There were so many spirits, and I had brought my paranormal hunting equipment, and I'm like, hey, I brought this all the way from Colorado. We might as well use it before I go home. And I was supposed to be leaving later that day, so it was around midnight on Halloween. And so we broke it out, the night vision, the flare, and I'm looking around with the night vision, and her friend Chuck, which is her plumber also, was looking around with the flare, and I was just, at first saw a little girl, and then an older boy behind her, and then a man, and then over here. I mean, they were everywhere. So it really blew my mind,
Wow.
I've seen so many things all my life, but that was the most all at once that I had ever really encountered.
Yeah. It's the very night when the veil is the thinnest. We just had the other night of the year the veil is the thinnest, May 1st, Beltane. But it's different. It's not about the dead and celebrating the dead. It's the fairies are holding up the veil on May 1st, and it's about celebration and new life and creativity. So very, very different. But the veil is thin too, right now, still in it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, lots of good spirits.
So did you guys have any luck getting a hold of Hugh?
We actually did. We did two things. That night, yeah, it's so cute. We had his favorite drink, whatever it was, Pepsi and whatever alcohol it was. And we had done one, and it was a little chaotic because it was live, Facebook Live and all this stuff. So it sometimes gets a little circusy, but we did get hold of him and we got some good information. We did one like a week or so before that. Wasn't all filmed and stuff. And that one, he really, literally, we started the seance. He literally knocked on the door. Nobody was there. We did the whole seance. We got information, amazing stuff that he talked about Bridget and Holly. And at the end of the night, he literally locked the door. It was an old-fashioned lock, like click, click. And it's like, oh, wow, that's good. He came, he left.
That's awesome. I wonder where he goes. Like, out of all the places he'd want to be, you would think it would be there.
Well, yeah, he I don't know. New people own the Playboy Mansion now, so I don't know of anybody who's gotten in it. Since the new people, I think they're really private. But I imagine he hangs out there, and I'm sure he's protective of his girls, his lady friends and things. So he hangs out. What I always, again, talking to spirits since I was a little bitty kid. big in life, big in death. You know, Bob, the quiet, meek and mild banker. When he's dead, he's quiet. Bob, the meek and mild ghost. Somebody like Hugh Hefner or a movie star or a music star, they're going to big in life, big in death. So they're much more entertaining spirits.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You are what you are when you die. You don't automatically become good or automatically become bad. Like, you are the person you were.
You are the person
on
you
his
are.
energy.
There's sometimes you get a slightly higher perspective, not that you become enlightened or angelic or anything like that. I think literally a slightly higher perspective. Some of the petty stuff, some of the pettiness goes out the window, maybe just because, again, higher view of everything. But yeah, you are who you are. It's your spirit.
So you were talking about when you were younger. When was your very first paranormal experience?
I don't think I ever didn't have one. When I remember I was super, super shy when I was young. And when I was a little kid, I would play in my room all the time. And I had all the imaginary friends that little kids have, but I just knew that those so-called imaginary friends, most of them weren't imaginary. They were real beings and entities I could talk to and play with. Some were better than others, some were lesser than others. Whatever it was great. I actually think, if I think about it, probably some were some off-worlders of sorts too, more than just elementals or spirit ghosts, because it's like, wow, that's kind of like very ET-like, isn't it? Huh? Who's, wasn't really scary. I mean, I knew there was better ones and lesser ones. One guy in the closet wasn't so good, but I never gave up my control to it. And I think because again, this is our realm of existence, and that's been in me since I was a little kid. And then I've studied it. So I can go into an insanely dark, scary place and know I'm going to come out okay, because this is our realm. And I've just been doing that since I was a kid. I literally did my first seance when I was 7 or 8. I didn't really know what it was. I didn't know how to do, but I just knew how to do it. I knew chants and things that come out of me. I did realize, as getting started with my best friend Sherry in my little suburban hallway, I closed in the hall, all the doors closed, no windows, no lights. I did realize that I don't know any dead people at 7. So I'm like, Marilyn Monroe and John Kennedy, anybody I can think of. It's the late 60s. And not that they came, but all of a sudden my windowless, lightless hallway filled with orbs and lights flying through. Whew, whew, whew. We ran out screaming because, again, we were 7 or 8. But inside I was jumping up and down going, yes, this is real. And this is something we can control. This is something we can call and leave. And thus I became a seeker. And it's always been in me. I, of course, had those few years of teenhood. You don't want anything to do with it. Shut it down. You want to be normal. I would literally wear hats to keep in my body. But that was short lasted.
Yeah, it's funny how you have that little break, whether it's, you want it or it just happens. For me, it was between the age of, I think, 7 or 8 and 13. And I don't know if it had anything with me living with my aunt and uncle and getting baptized into a church, if that kind of dampened things for me a little bit. But as soon as I hit 13, like, things started happening again, and it was very interesting. And I was kind of worried, I'd stay up anyways and wait for things to happen, but when it finally came back, I was kind of relieved because I did miss it. There's so many awesome things out there, and it's amazing that there is another side. So, you're not just sitting in the ground being eaten by worms. I mean, your physical body is, but you could be anywhere else you really want to be, unless you're stuck by your beliefs. I've seen that a couple times too, or by somebody else.
I know. I do believe our beliefs have so much to do with it. It's almost like a matrix thing in my experience. And ancient Sumerian, again, I study religions, philosophies, cosmologies. The ancient Sumerian belief system was like, well, I'm just going to say, you're from Ohio, you go to the Ohio heaven. You go from, you're Jewish, you go to the Jewish heaven. And I think there's something true to that. Not that they use the word Ohio, but to your own creation of sorts. And I think it's the spirit. So if you're looking for some kind of pearly gatesy heaven, I think that's what you're going to get or create or go to. Even if you're part of this great consciousness, and whether you believe in reincarnation or not, it's just the spirit lives on. And I think we kind of design it. And they get to hang out. I believe people who are become reincarnated, part of their spirit is still there and can hang out. So even if, grandma is the little baby Fred now, grandma could still be there because its essence is up. It's not a full reincarnation into something.
It's very interesting. A friend of ours that passed away this last year believed in basically when you're born, your soul kind of fractures, and then you slowly get it back together. But it could be pieces like that remain in certain places. But for me, I've seen intelligent hauntings and then residual hauntings, and there can be both at the same time of the same spirit. So that's pretty interesting as well.
Yeah, because again, it's like the residual to me is this. I was say you bake some chocolate chip cookies and they were really good, but the kids ate them all. You didn't get any, but the smell that lingered. That's the residual. It's the non-intelligent. You can't interact with it. At the bed and breakfast when the lady was killed, the ghost doesn't really have to walk by every night at midnight. Poor thing. It's just that's the video. That's the residual part. But that's not saying that spirit isn't somewhere too or can't show up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen a couple cases of that. It's very interesting, and there's so many questions, which we'll probably never know till we get there. So did you find growing up and knowing that this was real and sharing it with others, did you ever face any sort of judgment or ridicule from your classmates, or were they accepting of it?
Well, I was so shy when I was a kid. I was really quiet. And so the little they knew, again, even starting with my first seance with my friend Sherry, I think they thought it was a little goofy. We didn't go do ghost hunts and stuff like that. I was really a little solo player most of the time. I was lucky I did not have anything weird from my family, though, because I was raised without any kind of religion or belief system. My mom, I guess, would have been basic Protestant of some sort. That's how she was raised, but not really religious at all. My dad, I guess, would have been Sephardic Jewish, but his father, my grandpa, was this super famous psychoanalyst, Freudian, Hollywood, practically evangelical atheist, the leader of the Humanist Society of Friends. So he wrote books on religion. There's statues of him. He hung out with all these hoity-toity, Isaac Asimov and Carl Sagan and Norman Lear, all these academic, science-based, and who thought anything, either religious or spiritual, was a weakness in itself, just it's science and that's it. So I didn't know. I thought we'd never been in a church or a temple, but I drive by and I see energy. That's my main. Yeah, I see energy, and I'd see. It didn't even matter what denomination. I saw the spirit there, and I'd want to go in, and I didn't know why we didn't go in these places, and we never talked about it. And though my mom was really supportive of my gifts, she's like, "Oh yeah, Grandma would always see somebody at the end of her bed too." So it was in the blood, old Southern style. But I think it was by the time I was 13, I finally said, I wanted to go to, it was a regular, born again Christian church, blah, blah, blah. And there was some really cute Christian rock band is really what I wanted to go see on Friday night. And I was so nervous to ask my parents if I could go to church with my friend. I mean, I would have felt, I'd probably been less nervous. Can I go to a wild rave party? Right. But then my mom goes, yeah, you could do whatever you want. And I'm like, what? So thus my secret began. So I got full blown into that belief system, and that didn't quite suit my needs and my belief system, and that didn't quite work for me. And then again, okay, let's try Buddhism for a while. Let's try Judaism. Let's try New Agey for a while. Oh, the whole Shirley MacLaine. Oh, that's a little squeaky clean for me. Oh, paganism. Oh, that's great. This whole witchy thing. And now I've just thrown it all in one great big, cauldron, a big pot. And I just, again, take it down to energy, and I can draw and see from all of them. Even my grandfather's works, who write religion, who, again, there's no God, it's the science. His belief system is almost the same. He just uses completely different words, with scientific words, not spiritual words, but it's the same through line and same truths. Sorry, I had to get up. My dog just came in and unplugged my computer. I was like, no.
no. I was so glad it didn't turn off on me. This is such a testy computer over here, but it's better than this one, so I don't know. I use it for my broadcasting, and she just came in and unplugged it. Holy shnikes. So, I'm back. Sorry about that. I could still hear what you were saying. It's interesting, though, how we do seek those different things out, because we know there's something out there. And like you said, with me, I grew up in Arkansas and remember paranormal things for as long as I can remember. And my family wasn't really religious, but when my mom died and my dad sent us to our grandparents, we'd go to church with them. And then after that, I just sought out different churches. I was LDS for a while, and then when I joined the military, you have every church at your fingertips. So every weekend I'd go and check out a different one and see if anything really spoke to me or whatever. But I always had things that I could take from each one, because I think they all have good points, and if they all just got together, it'd be perfect. But everybody has to be right, and number one, you know.
I know. If you just start with what you agree on and just stay there, not what you disagree on. Humans are goofy.
Yes,
I say that like 12 times a day. We are the silliest creature out there.
Right. I totally agree. People are strange, and I'm irregular or abnormal, abnormal. I always call myself a mutant. But yeah, always like away from people, and not because I wanted to really, except for the energy thing. I didn't realize until later on that I was empathic and I could pick up on different energies, and maybe that's why I distanced myself, but I just felt different than everybody else, kind of awkward or whatnot.
Yeah, me too. I think that's the paranormal for people like us. I think that's why I probably ended up shy and just kept it to myself.
Yeah, I try to be a social butterfly, but I like having fun. In the show, when I first started doing the show, I was so nervous every time. I'd really have a panic attack and have to do breathing things, and then I'd go through like the third line of my intro, and then I was okay. I think it's social anxiety, just different things. Paranormal PTSD is what I call it, is the first PTSD I ever had to deal with. But I do believe it exists. So many people in the paranormal have crazy sleep schedules. My bedtime, since I was a kid, has always been like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Now it's changed since this whole coronavirus thing. Now it's 5 or 6 in the morning. So
really? Oh, wow. Are you find yourself sleeping more though, or not?
This last week I have, because I've been sick, but no, it's back to if I'm awake, I'm awake, and I can't sleep in anymore. And it's just been a crazy energy, I think, is what it is. And my dreams have been so strange, like they're realistic. So I'll wake up the next day and look for something that was in my dream, and where'd that go? Oh, well, that was just in my dream. But it just seems like my life continues into my dreams, and there's really no escape to, breathing underwater or flying in the sky or, whatever. How has yours been?
I think that's the same. Everybody is talking about their dreams, whether prolific dreams or lucid dreams or just wild dreams or entertaining dreams or good. I think the dream life is part of this shift. I think it truly is. But I'm definitely sleeping more. I've always been a good sleeper. I'm a 5-hour sleeper. I go to bed about 1 or 2, and then I get up 5 hours later. But now, with whatever this shift is, I'm sleeping a good at least 2 hours, like 7 hours. And I haven't done that since I was born. It's like, not every night, but it's just like, who is this girl? This is not me. I don't sleep. I mean, I sleep good, but it's short. It's go to sleep. I'm down, up, I'm up. Mm-hmm. But it's the shift. I'm okay with it. Nothing else to do anyway. It's so weird. I am not used to being quarantined. I'm the opposite of shy now. I got out of that pretty young. I remember my teachers told my mom, she goes, "Oh, Patti is so shy, such a sweet girl. You should get her involved in something like dance class or whatever." So my mom put me in every kind of dance class, and twirling, baton twirling, tumbling, tap ballet. And by the next year, it was like, Patti's such a nice girl, but she's so loud.
Does she ever?
Oops, too many dance classes. But I totally lost why I was there. I'm used in my regular life. I'm on the road half the time. And when I'm not on the road, I'm out. I'm home with my husband maybe one night a week. Maybe. We try to have coffee in the morning. I try to have one date night where I'm home or I'm out. I'm speaking. I'm teaching. I'm clubbing. I'm what I do. I'm a people person. Now I've been home for like, how many years now have we been home?
I know. I think 3.
But I think 3 years. But it's actually I'm getting it. My office has never been more organized.
I
My
saw
husband and I,
that.
yes, it's like what? Because I'm usually no time. And I throw it on the desk and I looked and went, oh my god, I look like I have a hoarder's office. And my husband and I are actually enjoying each other so much. We're playing like Trivial Pursuit from 1983. It's like, new topics from 1983. It's some game we had. So I'm making the best of it. But damn, I want to go outside.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I want to go do different things, like ghost hunting in different videos, but we've been ghost hunting in our backyard. We have a tree fort back there, and we have so many things happening. Just a couple weeks ago, my son was running into the house, my daughter following, and he just stopped in his tracks, and he's like, Mom, there's a little girl in a white dress with pigtails and pink red hair following you around, because I was going around and watering my little seedlings, and I look around and I don't see anything, and he's just staring in awe. And that's not the first time she appeared, but I guess she's back. I'm trying to figure out who she is. So your kids probably have the same gift. Your kids have the same gift you do, I'm sure.
Yeah. How many kids do you have?
I have 4, ranging from 5 to 20.
Wow.
They're amazing, and they're all gifted in their own way. It's pretty interesting how they vary. They're all very gifted, but they're all very gifted in their own way. So they all have different specialties.
That's awesome. Awesome.
I do think
so yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, because again, I'm quarantined with just my husband and 2 cats. Yeah. Having kids would be a whole different experience. It would be wild.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for the whole homeschool thing, and it's been difficult because I feel like I'm doing all this stuff and my husband's just saying things and not helping to do things. And so I'm just like kind of overwhelmed. And I'm wondering if that's why I got sick this last week. I don't know. I've just been dragging to where I can hardly do anything, but I forced myself to do things. And it's crazy. It started as a cold and then a stomach issue. And I don't feel like I'm short of breath or I can't breathe, but I feel like I'm not getting enough oxygen. You know how you feel kind of lightheaded and dizzy or whatnot walking around. So trying to figure that out. But yeah, it's just been stress. But we're trying not to make it that.
You need my breathing exercise. I need to send you my book, my 30-second exercises. Because I think because you are stressed, you are rushing, you're going to breathe shallow. So that's going to cause the fog, this chatty brain, the not breathing well. It just is. You go, I'll figure out how to get it to you. I'll send it to you. And you need a nice white bath. Do you have a bathtub?
Yes.
Okay. Light a white candle if you've got one. In your tub, throw a handful of salt for cleansing, any kind of white salt, a handful of sugar, plain old white sugar for sweetness, and a cup of milk for nurturing. Get naked, of course. That's how you get in the bank, and go nurture yourself. You will feel like breakfast cereal, but it's the most it's old school Southern conjure magic. Nice. You could throw in some white flowers if you have any, little petals, but it's such a nurturing bath. And you get to be breakfast.
Good. Heck yeah. Be breakfast at the same time. That used to be one of my lines. I'm cereal. Like, I'm serious, but I'd say cereal. Or the random weird words for other things. But yeah, we've been trying to make it less stressful and trying to let the kids out into the sun because I've heard a lot of good things about it in the past. And even still today, they're saying it's good for the coronavirus. And I even heard they're treating the blood with UV rays, which I don't think is a good idea. Because not only are you burning out the bad stuff, you're burning out good stuff. But we've been planting seeds and watching them grow and doing different things like that. So they're not concentrating on what's going on in the world, and they're concentrating on their own little environment and, growing things and growing happiness.
Yay, that's beautiful. Growing happy.
we need board games and not video games. My husband gave several to his nephew, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? We need those. And he's like, well, they need them out there. So we just need to re-up on some new ones.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. Like I said, we've been doing that too for the first time, like, ever. I said, this game was like a 30-year-old game that he had forever, all decades before we met. It was like, oh, this is fun.
Heck yeah. There was a question I was going to ask, but I forgot. So I'll move on to another one. So when did you first get into doing like psychic readings or paranormal hunts or whatnot professionally?
Okay. Well, it's always been a secret, not a secret, but always been kept very private part of myself for a long, long time, because I run a production company. I have a company called Brain Brew Entertainment. It's a really corporate production company. We do live, like song and dance extravaganzas for like Microsoft, banking, and I would be, new policy to HR or ethics jeopardy to oil men. And it was just so corporate. I'm just like, these people, I was an actor. I was an actor in Hollywood. So doing all that didn't matter. They knew that. But I started my production company, and it's like, they cannot know that I'm, talking to dead people and dancing around a bonfire, burning herbs. But at 2008, but again, I was part of a coven. I was reading people. I've been doing seances since I was 7, but all on the sly. In 2008, that economic crash hit really bad. All of a sudden, corporate entertainment became a dirty word. The whole big economic went crash, crash, crash. My business, like, boom. It's like, we can't have a big show for our production people. We're laying off people. We're going to give them a $25 certificate to Trader Joe's instead of creating a big production. So we went boom. And at the very same time, reality TV was going the opposite direction, really big. And I remember one of my friends who said, okay, I knew my seance ability, or how other people could see things, the way I lifted the veil. They go, we really need somebody who's legit, who's real, to do a seance on a reality show. I'm like, nope. They go, come on, it's on CMT, it's on country music television, and it's a show called Mobile Home Disaster. I'm like,
oh,
nobody will watch that. Sure, I'll do it. I figured, because again, we're talking a long time ago, 2008. I go, yeah, nobody will watch a show called Mobile Home Disaster on CMT. I'll do it.
You'd be surprised.
And I went. No, I know. So I went, and I loved the genre because I have a sketch and improv background for years. I was comedy, so again, that's the performer side of me. And I'm like, you mean I don't have to memorize lines? You're going to just follow me around with 2 or 3 cameras and do what I do, and I could give my message, my knowledge, my philosophy. Because I'm all really about empowering people. It's not just talking to ghosts and things. It's like, let's see how powerful we humans are. So I had such a blast filming it. But it's like, okay, that was fun. But that's it. I'm going back to my little secret closet. I remember when it aired, the very next day, one of my really corporate clients called, one of my big national corporates, I don't know if it was a bank or what. She was like, I saw you on TV last night. And I'm like, oh, God, oh, no, I'll never work for whoever they are again. And she's like, I didn't know you were into the paranormal. I love the paranormal, blah, blah, blah. And we had the longest, best, most personal, real conversation we had ever had. And I'm like, okay, I am out of the closet. I'm out of the broom closet. I'm out of the psychic closet. I'm out of the ghost closet. And again, I didn't, in my production company, I still have it for that matter, but one continued to go downhill, 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 one to go uphill, uphill, uphill. And then with being a Hollywood kid and being here for so long, I became kind of the go-to, somebody who knew being on camera, knew how to hit marks, knew how to talk to science, but what was still legit, not going to do anything fake. And became the go-to person to call if they needed a psychic, or they needed a medium, or they needed a witch, or they needed a seance. So it's just like all of a sudden, and then the speaking, and then the teaching, and all that became. And I remember how many years ago I was, and again, I love inspiring people. I was speaking at a college, I think I don't know, UC Santa Barbara, and like 500 people and just me on stage. I walked on stage and did my thing, and these beautiful young people, and it was so great. And I thought about it, and I'm not about money in the least. Money has never been a guidance for me, but I'm like, oh my God, I walked on stage, they put me up there. I am getting the exact same money for this that I would get for one of my big production shows, where I'm out of that same exact money. I'm paying 7 actors. I'm paying 3 musicians. I'm costuming them myself. I'm making the props. I'm designing programs, making programs. I'm paying a rehearsal hall for 2 weeks, and I'm keeping $3. And I'm getting the same money for me stepping on a stage and inspiring young people. This is more fun.
Yeah, it's a lot easier and less stressful too. And just
Yeah,
the energy.
easier. And my passion. Because both times I realized I'm about inspiring people. I'm about empowerment and inspiring people to see how powerful we are. Because in my now decades of working with people one-on-one, it's like we give away our power. People give away their power to fear, to other people, to belief systems. It's like, grab that back. You are amazing. You are amazing. Look at, you can do magic. Look at that right there with a thought process change. So it's I've just fallen into my passion, where I did it on a weird corporate, and I've never been a corporate person anyway. Now I get to just be me.
That's awesome. And like I said, it's so much easier. And just like you said, the young people and the energy and just so much good things coming from it. It's amazing how certain things happen for a reason. And then you're so much happier with the way it turns out. Yeah,
it's great. And again, this was not a game plan that I made. I would never have created it like this. It was, I'm going to be a famous medium. It's like absolutely nothing like that. It was just that the universe had tumble here, tumble there, open this door, whoops, push you in, go.
There you go.
Organic, and I use the word organic all the time, not with my food per se, but things that develop organically, or where they're a dance between your goal and your determination and what you want, and where the universe guides you. It's a dance. You're not too strict one way or the other. You've got to have some ideas, or else you're just floating. But if you could really dance between the two, it's magic.
It really is, and I think anything's possible. When somebody tells me something, I don't disbelieve them, because I believe it's possible. And then you were talking earlier about the whole scientific method. A lot of people talk about that. Well, we can't prove it because we can't prove it scientifically. It's like, how do you have a sterile environment where you get the same outcome repeatedly? That doesn't really just happen with people or spirits who were people.
Yeah. No, I honestly think they're going to come push together, though. And again, I'm okay with skeptics. I always start out skeptical too, but as somebody who's not going to be a believer, that's fine. And there's certain people, they could have, oh my God, 48 ghosts could stand right in front of them. There can be the burning bush of Moses. Aliens could land on their head, and they're still going to go, not real. And that's okay. That's okay. Yay. Go with it. You don't want ghosts in your life. Great. You don't want angels or fairies or elementals. Great. Big, but I honestly think with as science and spirituality is thrashing together into quantum physics, quantum mechanics, they're going to be the same thing in a minute and a half.
And we're finding evidence all the time, not just because of teams on TV, but everybody that looks up to them. And it's funny, you were saying the closet. In 2012, I came out of the paranormal closet because I just kind of tucked myself away. I grew up and was born in Arkansas. I grew up there until I was about in 4th grade, I think. But I try to share these different experiences or stories with people, and they treat me like I had the plague or whatnot. So I learned to keep that to myself until I met somebody that had the same experiences or something close to it, and then I'd open up to them. But I decided to stay in the paranormal closet until 2012, and we had something really bad happen here, and it was like, I need to come out and I need to help. But I'm so glad I did, because that's just a burden, I think, off of my shoulders. I'm free with it. I'm open with it. And people know, and people call for help all the time. And skeptics are awesome. I think a lot of times they're really, really good trigger objects too, because not only are we trying to prove it, but the ghost is like, you're going to deny me, and then it'll try to prove it even more than if a bunch of believers went in there, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Like, oh, I saw something. No, that really was just a pin drop.
Right? Well,
I love skeptics too.
You were talking about the South a few times, like Southern magic or Southern this and that. Did you grow up in the South?
Nope, I'm an LA girl. I'm born in Los Angeles, actually Long Beach area, but LA County, not LA City. I'm a Southern California girl, born and raised. I love to travel though, and I do as much as I can travel, for fun, for play, for work, for everything I can. Because again, people are amazing, and seeing different cultures and seeing different belief systems. And but I do a lot of Southern style magic because I'm very root worker. I'm very elemental in my work. And it's mostly, I've studied my entire life. Believe me, there's not a week I'm not in school, even now. It's like, I've been going to school for 72 years. Didn't like regular school, but I like the school you choose school. But it's born in me too, just like with a gift, with your empathic gift, your intuitive gift. I would literally find myself in my little backyard picking herbs and knowing what to do with them. When I was used, like, we had all this rosemary in our backyard, and I knew if I picked that and put some in my mom's wallet, it would help her to have more money. It would bring prosperity. And I just knew that. It was just in my blood. Then you learn stuff like that later. And I just had this connection with plants and herbs and oils, and just kind of knew what to do. It's my form of intuition and instinct.
Yeah, and it also makes you wonder about past lives. Could you have been an herbalist or some sort of shaman or something in your past life, and that's why you know all these things automatically? It's pretty interesting.
Probably. Because even again, that first seance at age 7, don't even know why I would know what the word seance is. And I work with sound and vibrations and chimes and gongs. Some 7-year-old who no religion, no spirituality, hasn't even been to a church to hear bells ring, or because churches have so much, everyone have all their own spirituality that opens up the spirit, but it just knew. And again, the big part of all of this is, it's the faith, just to trust it. You don't try to analyze it. That'll shut it down. Just like, okay, this is what I see. This is what I feel. And that's the part you work at.
Yeah, if you second guess yourself, then you mess it all up.
Shut it down. I always talk about the dance of the right brain, left brain. Your left, reasoning, rational, 1 + 1 = 2. We need that. We have to pay our rent, our mortgage, we pay our bills. We have gravity. And then the right brain is where anything can happen. That your creative side, your spiritual side, your intuitive side. But if you have an intuitive, creative thought, like, wow, I think my dead grandma's standing behind me. The second you try to analyze it, you shut it down. Just like, oh, that doesn't make sense. So just say yes. That's how, when I train people, it's just like, okay, I'm going to say yes. Grandma's behind me. The doors, I feel there's a little girl in the room. Just say yes. Just say yes. If you want to analyze it, tell yourself you can analyze it in 2 hours. And in 2 hours, you go, grandma behind me, or was that somebody opened the door and I had the pizza I had for lunch? And that's fine too. But the more you just say yes and trust it, the gift grows and grows and grows and opens up.
That's so true. And it's sad how so many people's windows or doors or whatnot are closed because of denial from, peers, like your family members or your friends or whatnot. This isn't real. It doesn't exist. It's all in your head. And then people start to think they're crazy, which most times in a paranormal situation, people think they're crazy anyways, because in the beginning, it only generally affects one, and then it kind of spreads out like a virus to everybody else. But it does make you feel crazy. But it is very awesome. Like, I know it's there. I know it's real, and I really do enjoy it. Okay, so Jason in the chat room said, or asked, do you need to get the same result in a test? He said, science embraces failure, otherwise it's not science, right? Maybe I drank a little too much bourbon.
Well, I'm not sure what he's asking. Are you?
It's because I said in the scientific method, they do experiments, and then they try to recreate the same thing repeatedly. So I think that's what he's talking about. He said,
that is what a scientific. You have to have a controlled thing, and a scientific like they're testing everything now. But I do think, again, science and spirituality is catching up, that just getting into the deepest of science, that whatever thing that you lose when you die, whatever that happened, not an ounce, or all that stuff is coming together. And even when science making discoveries that validate what spiritual practice has been spiritual, it's again, they're just crossing to me in beautiful ways. It's going to, take a little while, but I don't think very long.
Yeah, I think people are really opening up to it, and with this scientific method, there's so much evidence that's been captured. Eventually, they're going to have to accept it and say, hey, this is real. I've seen some pretty cool articles about the spirit leaving the body when a person dies, and doctors even actually talking about this little part in the back of your head where this little ball of energy stays, and it's like the very last thing that leaves the body. But I think death happens differently for everybody. Like the energy could leave immediately, or it could stay there trying to preserve the vessel and then end up knowing that it can't and leaving. It's amazing the different things that they are doing to test this theory. I know it's real, though, so I don't need no scientist to tell me.
No, when you know, you know. When you know, you know.
And it's either that or put me in the loony bin. I'm scared. So what about your family? Like, what is the background? I think a lot of this stuff for us is genetic, and even us experiencing paranormal things is changing our genetics every time we do it for the next round, which explains my kids kinda. But I mean, my mom was gifted. I'm gifted. My kids are gifted. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's in the blood. I think it's in the DNA. Again, my mom was super intuitive. She just never went there because she just didn't have a kind of belief system. But she took it nonchalantly. Oh yeah, Grandma knew when somebody was going to die. Oh yeah, that's that. It just was a given. She was from the South, again, from England, wherever, then the South, and all American in that way. And she had the gift, and it was just handed down. My father's side, again, my grandfather came from Turkey, from Istanbul, and he was the philosopher there, and they've got all that almost like gypsy, Sephardic, Spanish blood. And I think my grandfather was crazy intuitive. I read his books now, and I'm blown away. Even though, yes, he was science-based, but the insight within them, again, like I said, I read his books and I read my beliefs, that they're the same, just the words are completely different. So I think he had this magic about him. He just wouldn't put it in that particular template. I think whatever your belief system, it's your roadmap. It's your template. Somebody wants a modern house. Somebody wants an old Victorian house. Somebody wants a wild, crazy house. That's your template you put on, but everybody's got the bedroom and everybody's got your bathroom. It's just how you dressed it up. He dressed it up very science-y, but he was pretty brilliant. And I think the gift is both sides. And I just took it all.
Yeah. I'm like, I wonder if he was trying to prove he's not crazy. Like, he knows these things are happening. He's intuitive, and he's just kind of writing out different. I gotta read his stuff. I gotta see what he had to say.
Yeah,
very
he's
awesome.
great. Patti Negri, his books are out of print, but I find them, and actually somebody's printing them now illegally. But I decided, well, nobody in the family's going to do it, so at least his words are out there. So that's. But he was ahead of his time. Sadly, I was pretty young when he died. He was just 17, but he had books like phrenology, and he had head shakers and weird stuff. He was a nudist for a while. He lived with 2 wives at the same time. He was a free thinker early on, way early on. And he died in the 70s, late 70s. So,
had he experienced the 70s, man, I wonder what he would have thought of that.
I don't know. He was getting older and more staid by then. I don't know. He was pretty. I wish. He would have been around once I really stepped into my adulthood and everything. But it's okay. He hangs out now. I have a big bust of him, a big statue of him. I collect his books, and he's come to a few of like my mediumship things or seances. it's kind of cool.
I think it's awesome how, somebody had read his works and thought so much of what he had to say and knew that there was not a lot out there to print, that he decided to do it himself. And it's really awesome that you allowed him to do that so more people can read it and be educated by it.
Yeah, no, I thought about that. Because they're not making millions. Who knows who Patti Negri is? But it's one of those, like, a reprint, almost magazine-style paperback thing, the selected works of Patti Negri. And then I bought one. I was like, what the heck is this? And it literally was asking for forgiveness, not permission. If you think you have the rights to this, but his books are probably so out of print, and who even knows if it's like, yay, more power to him. Again, and he was so ahead of, even with sex, he was ahead of his time. One of his books, psychoanalysis of sexual life, he was way ahead of. Who are those people who are famous for it? They did a whole TV series last year.
Oh, Naked and Afraid?
No, I'm talking science. It was a miniseries. Not Funkin' Wagnalls, Procter and Gamble, something and something. It was real sexual research on sexuality and sensuality. It was in the 50s, way ahead of its time. But he was way ahead of those. I'm talking sciencey. But, of course, he was ridiculed for it because it was back in the day. But my grandfather was ahead of them. I wish I could think of who they were. Maybe somebody in the chat room. I don't know where I don't have the chat room on. I don't have anything. But it was a series last year. It was real. I think last year, maybe the year before. A mini-series. Something and something. They wrote books. They wrote the books about human sexuality. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't read them. No, but I'm trying to think of what it is because, like, it's everywhere. But, man, when things come in and kind of meet your thoughts, I've been having that issue all week. So don't ask me. But I'm trying to think. But we are going to our first musical break, so that'll give us time to do that. And you can also find our chat room. And this is not only for you, Patti, but for people that are listening, you can find it at the link, Spreaker.com. We are Paradox Media. Just click on the show that says live. And then you'll see little 3 dots on the end. Press that. And then you'll see a heart and a word bubble. And click on the word bubble, and that'll take you into the chat room. But yeah, it's a fun place. It's really crazy sometimes, and sometimes it's really quiet. It just depends on what's going on. But for our break, let me put this screen up. We have music. And, commercials I think are overrated, but I know they're needed for certain things. But we like to help independent artists get their names out there. And for this first break, we have Michaelan Hay, and she is from Ontario, Canada. She is still in high school. I think she might be graduating this year, and I feel so bad for everybody graduating this year. They don't really get their whole thing going on. It's like, man, no prom, no graduation. They got robbed.
They did. I have so many friends with kids just at that age right now that I can't. It's like every kid I know is a senior, and they're getting nothing.
So very sad, but hopefully they'll do something for them next year. But I kind of think they won't. But my heart goes out to all the kids out there and the parents that have to help them out with their emotional status over it. But Tracy Cruz with Joyful Rain, Flowers and Candy, and Tracy Cruz is from Oakland, California. And then Michaelan Hay with, I think it's at the top. Hold on one second. I don't know about you, but my electronics have been crazy. Pins and Needles. So you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this musical break.
Talking on pins and needles, every word through a microscope. You keep stomping down on the ground while I've been stuck on this tightrope. I just wanna say what I wanna say without your sentence. I'm not willing to do the time when I'm innocent, and I'm innocent. Talking on pins and needles. Talking on pins and needles. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm never see me beg, so take this tongue off your leash. I'm gonna say what I wanna say, don't need permission. Interpret it how you want, it's my decision. Talking on pins and needles. Talking on pins and needles. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. Dancing on shattered glass, kicking the pieces all around. My safety has been broken, this is now a hunting ground. Talking on pins and needles. Talking on pins and needles. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. And I'm done, and I'm done, and I'm done, done, done. I'm gonna hang it up, I'm gonna hang it up, I'm gonna hang it up, talking about, I'm gonna hang it up, I'm gonna hang it up, I'm gonna hang it up, talking about, I'm gonna hang it up, I'm gonna hang it up, I'm gonna hang it up, talking about, I'm gonna hang it up, I'm gonna hang it up, I'm gonna hang it up.
Your love flows through me like water from the rain.
It flows right through.
You've cleansed my soul and washed away all the pain.
You wash every part.
Your love lifts higher than all of the stars in the sky.
So high.
I made my wish on you to be by my side. You loving me, I feel like flying. You loving me, I feel like crying. Tears my life changed. Your love rained all over me. It was blissful, so special, essential. Life poetry, true beauty. We created, we made it. Reality, pure affection with expression. A connection was meant to be. You make me feel so good inside, like therapy for my mind. You make me feel so good inside. It was like flowers and candy, understanding how you're standing really must be love. I'm talking true, I'm talking real, and I felt it in my heart. It was like flowers and candy, understanding how you're standing really must be love. I'm talking true, I'm talking real, and I felt it in my heart and soul. You make me feel so good inside. You make me feel so good inside.
Now what is this that's happening? I don't even know you anymore. Oh, yeah. Changes moving through every day. Yeah. And I don't even know what we're fighting for.
Our bright days turn to sleepless nights. Our loving ways have turned to endless fights, and we can't seem to compromise. We try so hard to make things right. Yesterday, will erase all some turns. Can't we turn back? Hands on side. You are my life.
Now what is really happening? Yeah.
Changes are moving through everything. Changes.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Tonight we have the beautiful and talented Miss Patti Negri on, and she's going to introduce us to her haunted doll.
Yes, this is Belle. Belle, the 105-year-old haunted doll. I am a doll collector, but not a haunted doll collector. I'm a Barbie collector. Actually, I've got well over 100. I've been collecting them since the day both Barbie and I were born. I've got every one I ever had, I think, from the $2 store ones to the collectors. They're all over my house. And a few other interesting dolls. But Belle showed up to me. Again, I have a haunted house. I do have a beautiful spirit who lives in my house. Her name's Adrienne. She's a French artist. She owned the house before my husband and I did. The house is from the 1920. She moved in the 60s. She died in 98. We moved in 2001, complete with this beautiful French artist ghost. So I like having a haunted house. It's my world. It's not scary. I only keep the good ghosts. But a girl in Belgium had beautiful little Belle, and she saw me on Ghost Adventures or their spinoff Deadly Possessions, and I was doing a seance with Peggy the doll, a much more haunted, much darker doll. Peggy is not even an old doll. Peggy, well, maybe like from the 60s or 70s, but not from like the turn of the last century. But Peggy, she looks like a little blonde Doris Day, but she's documented two people heart attacks, documented over 80 people sick, even people who see a picture of her. So anyway, Zach flew me to Vegas the girl who owned her, Jane Harris at the time, flew one of the girls who was given a heart attack from Belle, flew me in. They wouldn't even go on the same flight as Peggy the doll. So all of a sudden, that was my first time at his museum. It wasn't even open yet. I'm doing a seance with this little plastic doll. But she was a nasty one. She was a naughty one. But she's actually, Zach since bought her. And every time I go to the museum, she curses at me. He's got a little spirit box in the Peggy room because people are forewarned to go in there. But I wouldn't even use the language Peggy uses on me when I go in there. I'm like, oh, Peggy, you look so beautiful. But anyway, not about Peggy. A girl saw me with that episode on TV and said, oh, my gosh, she had this doll, Belle, and she had her for 2 years or 3 years. She'd got her at an antique store or a thrift store. She was a 100-year-old German doll. But that Belle made her sick, made her hair fall out, made her little toddler sick, made herself sick. And she goes, well, she figured I could handle Belle if she couldn't, because, she had to either keep Belle in a shed or in a drawer, which Belle didn't like either of those. So she sent her to me. She got my permission, of course, thankfully. And I said, yeah, send her to me. I could handle it. This is what I do. The day I opened it, this is how powerful Belle is. I've got nice followings and stuff, but not like this. The day I opened Belle, I did my very first Facebook Live ever, 49,000 views.
Wow.
I got 200. I don't have 49,000. I know there's something to that kinky thing of opening packages, but it was the energy of this doll, Belle, was just, it was like a 20, 30-minute thing of just taking off bubble paper, really. And then this doll came out. But she did have a really dark spirit within it as we're opening this doll. So I didn't want my hair to fall out. I didn't want to have the darkness. So I got rid of that dark spirit in Belle right away. But within it, there's this beautiful little girl spirit, this inside of her. She did used to drain people's energy. She puts on glamours. People think she's real. She doesn't look real. But I'll have a party and somebody walking around and she puts on this air that people think there's a real child here. She's done a billion TV shows that people see her expression move. You'll see her eyes move. Her her eyes do open close like old-fashioned dolls, but this is porcelain. It can't really move. But 3 people in a row will go in today. Belle's happy. Belle's happy. Belle's happy. The next day, ooh, Belle's mad about something. Belle's mad about something. She's so easy to read. And she's got now that we got rid of the not human dark energy, she's got the spirit of this cute little girl who I think had a rough life, probably in Europe, maybe in Germany or England, maybe. Probably had a sickly, not good life. And I think that spirit went into the little girl's doll. And now that we've got the dark stuff out, she's great. She runs around the house. I have a reverse upstairs down here house, but I live on the hill. My husband and I will be downstairs in the drum room or watching TV. We'll hear her pitter patter, pitter patter. The cats are down with us. It's not us. My girlfriend just did a photo shoot in my living room. Nobody paid attention to Belle at all. She was just sitting in her own little rocking chair. Every picture, Belle is in a different position and has a different look and was moved. Again, I've had her in seances and things, and she's ever moving. So if anybody's out there, anybody who's seeing this on video at whatever point, you might see her move and do all sorts of things on her own. She did really drain people's energy at first. I had to keep herbs, and I'd keep a little Dixie cup of rue in her hand and different sigils and symbols and protection things on her. She had nothing bad in her, but she just drew so much energy off people. It was draining, but she doesn't even do that at all anymore. So that's what this is about.
Link.
Yeah. She loves this. She loves love attention. She's probably really bored here now during quarantine because I have an active house. I see clients here every day, not right now, but she's used to people being here. I have rituals here. I have workshops here. My husband's a drummer. There's rehearsals here. And now it's just dead. It's just us. So she's probably going stir crazy, but she just loves attention. I was filming some French thing, and we didn't even talk about her. They were interviewing somebody else. They just put her in the middle. She was beaming. So she's loving this. So thank you for the opportunity of letting Belle come. If anybody's getting any feelings of her, any things, go for it.
I'm not getting anything negative.
No.
Like you're saying, a little girl, and I'm picking up on like a 6-year-old, 5 or 6-year-old. I don't know. She's got a really good energy, and I think she was pulling energy to try to, communicate or manifest or whatnot, but maybe she's learned a different route now. She just didn't know how to do it at first.
I think that's exactly what it is. That's the exact hit that I got. At first it was like, what's this? She wasn't bound by whatever dark spirit was there, and she was able to come out, and now she doesn't take the energy. She gets, we all learn how to be alive in whatever form we're alive.
She's so beautiful.
She's beautiful. And this dress, she didn't have any fancy clothes. This dress was made by another girl in England who just offered to make her a dress. It's actually a dress and a jacket. And she has a beautiful antique parasol that came with it, a real vintage pin, vintage buttons. She's a lucky girl. People design things for her.
That's awesome. So do you do like Facebook Lives or any sort of recordings where you just have a camera on her and watch her activity?
No, but I should. I probably actually should, because she does have her own little Facebook page, and I haven't been really active with it lately, again, because I haven't been real active with her, because she's bored. She's bored with me. She's bored.
She's like,
but maybe I should. Don't you want to have her on Facebook Live or Instagram Live? Probably.
I think she would. My 5-year-old came to me a couple weeks ago, and she said she wants her own YouTube channel. And I was like, okay, well, let me know what you want to do, and we'll do it. So, I don't know. That's the thing of the day for kids today. I don't know if Belle's story is similar. My friend Roberta, and she's like my sister, my spirit family, my paranormal family. She got a doll from her grandmother. When she passed, she actually got several, but there's one in particular that was haunted, and her grandmother had a really good friend, and I think it was in Germany or Berlin or somewhere like that, where they lived in like a condo. Could have been like 3 different places in one house. She lived on this end, and her friend lived on this end, and her friend had this doll, so they'd play with it every day. And then one day a bomb hit on her friend's house. The doll was okay, but everybody didn't make it. She ended up inheriting the doll. And when my friend Roberta got it, she opened that box. She let it out because her dogs were acting crazy, all kinds of different things over this one particular box. But she said it was haunted by that little girlfriend of her grandma's, which was pretty sad, but interesting as well. You know, instead of going somewhere else, she just stayed with her doll or within her doll.
Yeah, and again, dolls are great. Spirits can use any vessel. They could, go into this lit up a candle if they want. But something with a face it gives them much more life force. You could talk into their ears, just like in witchcraft or certain forms of witchcraft in traditional British craft. We work with our familiar. It's kind of like a spirit guide, but not quite. It's kind of your, but in traditional craft, you don't put your familiar in your cat because number one, cats hate that. It's like, you want me to sit here during what? I'm a cat. No, we use little skull. So everybody who gets all gothy, the skull is it's not real skulls. It's a plastic skull. It's a metal skull. It's because it has eyes, it has a nose, it has a mouth that gives it life. So spirits love to get into dolls and haunted dolls because, again, it has a face. You could whisper into the ears. You could do all sorts of things. I will only allow good haunted things in my house, again, because we have to live here, and I have people here all the time once we can, and I'm not going to. I had one object. It was a voodoo thing. It had a little doll on it, but it was almost like a cross. It had nails all in it. It was real voodoo. And I know there's some beautiful voodoo and hoodoo that I know, but this wasn't. A client had given it to me, and it was fine because, again, I know what I'm doing. I know psychic protection. I know I know how to create wards, and my house is so warded. But one day I noticed he gave me this thing. It was too much for him. And I'm sitting in my office downstairs, and I'm like, why am I avoiding my office? This was before it was messy, so that's what. Why am I avoiding my office? Why? And I looked at this thing. I go, oh, it's that thing. This has got a really dark negative energy that it's too much for me. I cannot handle this. So I called up Zach Bagans. He has that haunted museum in Vegas. I go, Zach, I have something that it's just too dark for me. I can't have it in my house. Can I gift it to you? Do you want it? He goes, show me a picture. So I showed him a picture. He goes, oh, yeah, that's a nail fetish. Hate God. I want that. Wonderful. Here you go. Yay. He likes dark and haunted. And he put it in the cabinet with something from one of my friends, actually, Bloody Mary in New Orleans. Put it next to that, and that thing started acting up in his museum that night. The tour guides tell me all the time. But it's great there because that's where it's supposed to do, not in somebody's home. That's a museum for haunted objects, so that's where. So I won't let dark stuff in, or it gets transferred, or it gets out of here. But she's a good one. She brings levity and light, and
yeah, I don't pick up anything bad off of her. She's very sweet.
She's a good girl. Huh.
Well,
okay,
so
you can sit down now.
She was sweet to you. Man.
I know. And wrapped in people just love her.
Well, I could tell how special she was to the little girl or who had sent it to you because of how wrapped she was.
Yeah. She was so wrapped. 49,000 views. I'm like, crazy. But it wasn't me. It was the energy in her. She pulls it. It's great. So
very mind blowing. What can grab hits. I was just thinking the other night. And my house is haunted too. And my daughter also told me last night. She's like, Mom, I want to move to another house because I don't want to live in a haunted house. And I'm like, every single house I've lived in is haunted, and it could be the house or it could be me. I don't know, but I don't think there's any luck in that. But I've tried to tell my kids we all maybe go someday, and there's no reason to fear them really. And if there is, just let me know, and we'll take care of it. But when we moved in here, and I got that feeling when we pulled up in the driveway, this is my home, like a lot of people do when they come upon a haunted house. And there was nothing in particular about it, just the feeling off the property. And we knew there was something there. we didn't know who it was, but I started calling him John. And then later on, we found out from our neighbor that his name was John. And he actually passed away here from emphysema. But being that we're all gifted, we get things coming in and out, so we can have tons of spirits or just one. It just all depends on what's going on. But yeah, it can be, overwhelming for kids. But I'm pretty open with my kids, and I let them know, like, whatever I know. And I tell them my stories, and I don't hide things from them because there's nothing good that I think could come of that,
No. Especially if the kids are gifted. Yeah.
But yeah, I was kicking around going to an antique store and using either my intuition or whatnot, or backing it up with a K2 or whatnot. Is this reading anything off of it? Some things want to go home with you, I think, and some things can be good. You can have something bad off of it. It just all depends. But it's interesting how in an antique store, there's all kinds of activity. I could just imagine Zach's museum.
Oh my God. It is insane. It is. You walk in and you vibrate. You would vibrate. Anybody who's gifted, it's like, what the heck? Yeah, because he's got, thousands and thousands and thousands. The most haunted things in the world he will buy. His price is nothing. He's got Jack Kevorkian's Death Band. He's got Charles Manson. He's got some really morbid stuff, a lot of serial killer stuff, but also beautiful stuff and the light side of things. He really balances light and dark and life and death. And his tour guides are brilliant, every one of them. They kind of take turns. You'll have one tour guide for 1 or 2 rooms, and then they switch guides, and then they switch guides, and it's an experience. Anybody who's into this paranormal thing, so I'd say anybody who's listening to your show is, if you're anywhere near Vegas, check out Zach's Museum. It's well worth the trip.
We actually, my crew, Four Corners Paranormal Investigations, were kicking around doing a trip and going out, and we had all saved up, but then we got all this shenanigans going on with the COVID, and then the murder wasps, and who knows what else. I just saw a picture earlier of land sharks. I wouldn't be surprised. But we want to go
know,
there.
It's pretty goofy. This hit at the goofy. I was so ready. Right when this hit, I had a gig in Arizona that next weekend, a gig in Virginia City the next weekend, a gig in Dallas the next weekend. I was filming something at Viacom here. Hollywood shut down. Hollywood is a ghost town. I've never seen anything like it. All these big studios, nothing. The late night shows, they're sitting in their living room. It's the great equalizer. But everything just stopped. The world just stopped. Like you said, maybe we should do it a month a year. Maybe we should do it a week every couple of months. I don't know. Just stop.
So, how was your experience working with the crew of Ghost Adventures?
They are the best. I must say the first time I think I've done 10 episodes now, which is pretty amazing. The first time I wasn't a big follower of the show, but I remember the first time I did it, I don't know, 2014 or something. I was like, I used to think it was kind of silly because, like, who are these big macho guys in tight T-shirts who taunt the ghost and then run like a little girl when a pin drop? But when the second I met them, I go, oh my God. It's because they're committed 120%. They're legit 120%. Yes, it's theatrical. Yes, it's big. Yes, it's a TV show. It is edited. They film for days and you get 42 minutes of it. But it's so legit. And the reason it seems so big is because they're like this. They're like that 10-year-old kid, like, oh, it's a ghost. Oh, it's this. And they put so much into it. It's refreshing every time I go. And they'll just, oh my God, they would keep me locked in the trunk of a car if they have to. They want it so real, so legitimate. I mean, I can't speak for any show I've never done, but I will never fake a thing. I won't. My lifetime reputation depends on it. If they will tell me an address, whether I drive to it or they throw me on a plane to it. Okay, come to this address, 725 Main Street. I don't know anything about it. I walk in and, he just says, Patty, just walk in and just tell us what's happening or do a stream of consciousness. I'm always scared to death. It's like, oh God, what if I get nothing? What if I just hear crickets and I just walk in? I don't know. But everywhere they go, I don't know. I got nothing. But everywhere they go has been so vetted. It's so charged. It's like, you're going to know what happened there. It's like, well, okay, somebody was hung from the rafters here. But they will sequester you. I have been kept in a crew van for hours to not go in. I have been, locked in a room and sequestered in a room. Everybody is. You don't know who else is there. On my first Halloween special, not the 4-hour live one, that was crazy. The first Halloween special the year before, I went in and I knew something was going to be up. This was, yeah, it was, he flew me in and I stayed at a real modern hotel, really nice, fancy place. And all of a sudden my cell phone blows up. Then my tablet blows up. Then my TV's turning itself on and off. And then even my shower turned itself. I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. And getting there. But to go into the museum, I remember he was going to blindfold me. I'm like, I have been here before. It's dark. You don't have to blindfold me. He stuck me in a gypsy wagon. I didn't know anybody else was there. Nobody knows who anybody is unless you're sequestered again. So he just locked me in this little gypsy wagon and said, okay, you just sit here and tell me what's going on. So that's the time I saw, again, a woman with a doll, baby, it's a little girl, it's a woman, it's a little girl. That was Bloody Mary was working with a haunted doll. Then I saw somebody laying on the floor in mirror work, and that was Father Sebastian, the vampire, who's now like my best friend. He had literally got knocked out in Bela Lugosi's mirror. Then it was like, I was seeing all this stuff going.
That was standing in front of the mirror and just totally fell out.
Yeah, that's Father Sebastian. It was like these weird things came. Again, and he really is like my best friend in the world now. Because at first it's like we became really good friends. We stayed not really good friends at first. It was just like we stayed social media friends. And then a couple months into it, he offered to make me fangs. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm a witch. I'm a psychic. My idea of vampires, I'm not sure. But I looked into his philosophy, what the saber tooth is. It's exactly my philosophy. It's all positive. They don't drink blood. Energy is a whole different thing. So we got fanged and we became best friends. Now I'm a huge part of this whole vampire saber-tooth community. We travel the world. We give blood. We don't take blood. We do anti-bullying things. We have beautiful balls. They're just like witches, but they dress even better. We do beautiful rituals.
It's like more gothic.
Anyway, so I saw him there. And then, again, I had no idea. Then all of a sudden, Zach's going, come with me. And he threw me in this room, and I say this fairly cute little, unassuming little lady, and so unassuming, this cute little English lady, and then she wanted to kill me, and this big old cauldron, and it literally was good witch, bad witch. She put me in there with Lady Snake, a woman I do know now, and she wanted to hit me with a thing. She was doing all this really dark magic. That was our first good witch, bad witch, dark versus evil. But it was crazy. But I had nobody. She was sequestered. I was sequestered. I did not know until I saw it on TV like a month later or something that cauldron we were thrown into was Ed Gein, the serial killer's cauldron, where he used to cook people and eat people. He never, ever told me that until I saw it on TV. He never, ever told me that. It's like, no wonder she wanted to kill me.
Yeah.
She was being totally possessed by this horrible... Ed Gein, he's the guy that they designed Silence of the Lambs after, Texas Chainsaw Massacres. She was doing magic with that, so she was being possessed by that. No wonder she wanted to kill me. She's a lovely lady, but, we were in there with Ed Gein's cauldron.
Yeah, she's taken on a serial killer. That could never turn out good. At least not for me.
Yeah.
I've had a few walk-ins and such.
He did the same thing. It was so funny. Now, I thought I knew everybody at the 4-hour live special. I was like, oh yay, this is so fun. I was totally fangirling out because I was with Josh Gates and Chris Fleming and Michael and Marty Perry and all these, like, the best of the Joshua P. Warren, Gary Galka, the best paranormal inventors, and me. It's like, what the hell am I here for? And we were again sequestered. We were in a room across the street, not at the museum, because he doesn't want anybody to know. And I was just in seventh heaven, going, I was a kid in a candy store, but again, none of us knew Lady Snake was there. Again, he goes, Patty, come in. And then it was like, I got to be one of the few ever allowed into that deep basement where the stuff, he's like, come with me. And oh, look, there she is again. He loves to do that to me. But it was a crazy show. Because again, ghosts do not know break for commercial or stop. And all sorts of weird things happened that night. But I'm just so lucky, so blessed, and so grateful for the opportunities that he's given me to go to these crazy places I would never get to go to.
Yeah, it's amazing. I couldn't even imagine. Zach is cool. I like Nick, but my favorite has always been Aaron. He's my fave.
Aaron is fabulous. He is a beautiful. They're all beautiful spirits. He's crazy in a good way. Crazy.
Yeah, he's
again. I'm an expert on the craft and magical workings. I try to have deep conversations with him. Like I will use my own human blood for my own tools. I won't put my blood on anything else or let anybody else's blood touch me. He will blood, some gravestone in Louisiana somewhere. I'm like, you're attaching your life force to that? I don't care.
Really? I've never heard of doing that.
They each have their own form of protection. They each have their own belief system. They're smart and they're careful. But they're pretty great.
They're awesome.
Probably way more great than people even think. And I get why they have such a big fan base, but they're more great than people realize.
Yeah, I've never heard of doing that, like leaving your blood on different things. Do you know why he does that? Does he just want like a piece of him to stay there just in case, or?
I can't remember what that was. Even if he's doing a ritual. Jay has become really educated in ritualistic stuff and everything. It's been used in magic forever. Like I said, I have those little diabetes things. A regular part of blood, my tools, my athame, my wand, me, this is mine. I'm putting my life force on it. I would never, again, anybody else or anything else, or not have full control over it. But, your blood is your blood. It's your life force. It's like, but they each have, like, Billy is the Palo Santo guy. He's the one who taught me where to buy it in bulk. They sell it at the museum now and I'm Palo Santo way over sage every time. I'm not a sage girl. Sage is so harsh to me.
We actually use it a lot here because of where we live and all the different tribes that used to live on most of the land here that were driven out. So we'll use sage, and then what I like to do is finish up with the Palo Santo around like the windows and the doorways and such. But I think it takes different things in different areas, and for here it really does work because of all the native energy and unrested spirits and such that have been dug up and cast aside like nothing,
Yeah, you are using it because it is the native, and that's completely right. And I will use it sometimes, but to me, and especially if you are on native land and they're going to see this is their way of being, and then I love that you do Palo Santo, because to me, it's almost harsh. It's almost like Clorox. It gets rid of everything, the good, the bad, and everything in the middle. And it so much so, if you're not on native land or you don't follow up with Palo Santo, it almost creates a vacuum. It's sort of like dusting your whole house and then leaving the doors and windows open in a sandstorm. It's like people go, I saged the house. It felt so good, but it feels icky again.
Like, what happened?
What happened? Yeah, you sucked it back in or something else in or something worse in. So if you sage, I always do it counterclockwise, getting rid of, or Palo Santo, counterclockwise, and then go back in clockwise. So use the sage and now bring in Palo Santo or frankincense or myrrh, sandalwood or something angelic or something holy, and then fill the space back up. So there's no space for the negative to get back in. It's easy. It's just so many people just don't get that. And they go, it was so good for a day and a half.
Right? But it does, like you said, it takes out the good and the bad. And a lot of times we'll say certain things to make sure the good isn't driven out, but it's just the way that sage works. It's like a neutralizer. It basically goes and cleans out everything. But as long as you put your intent out there, and like you said, we all have a different way of doing it. Like, some of my friends will leave a window cracked. Like, I'll smoke the whole place out, and then I'll open a way for you to get out, because I want to make sure you're not hiding in any nook or crevice or whatnot. But the Palo Santo is so good. My husband, when I was saging this house, because I've had to do it a few times, and it is a thing that you need to repeat, but we haven't had to do it too much. But he's like, if you keep it up, I'm going to have to leave. And I'm like, if you leave, there's a problem. But the Palo Santo...
Drive everything out.
Yeah. The Palo Santo, like, I don't even have to light it. If I start feeling anxious because of something around me or whatnot, I could just smell it, and it just relaxes me and makes me feel better. Yeah. But I did hear that it's getting pretty rare. Is it really? Oh, no. Yeah, I'm scared.
Probably because they're burning. Yeah, that's...
I need to stock up like it's toilet paper or something.
I know. That's because all these spiritual people, they're like, toilet paper, Palo Santo, sage, whatever it is. Yeah, because it was Jay who said, he gave me all these little places that you can buy in bulk. It's like, okay.
Yeah, we have a site like that too, because we do sell kits just to fund ourselves. Otherwise, we'll take donations because we don't charge people. Like, I feel if we charged people to cleanse their houses and help them figure out what's in their house, we'd be taking advantage, because there's not a lot of help out there. So we just volunteer our time, and we pay for all of our stuff. And we ended up figuring out to pay dues, like $50 each year, and so that generally works out. But I end up paying most because I'm addicted to buying different paranormal equipment, because I want, like, every different thing to try everything to see what you get. The paranormal puck for me is my favorite because it does humidity, barometric pressure, different things like that you wouldn't even think of. And that would be good for the scientific side of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I usually walk around with my dowsing rods over anything else because I'm old school, but I do like some new things. I remember at that same last year, when I was with Gary Glauca and Joshua Warren and Justin Spurrier, all these inventor dudes, I was like, well, I use Ghost Radar on my phone because it works. No, it does. The first time I used it, I put it on, I thought it was a joke. I'm like, a free app is not going to, and it told me the news 3 hours before the news happened. It told me the exact news 3 hours before, and I went, and it was specific news: Norway, children dead, island. And I'm like, oh, so I was really brave. We're locked in this room with all these amazing people, and they were talking about all their new inventions and all this stuff. And Bill Chappell everybody was there, and I'm like, oh, I use the Ghost Radar, but I like the $2, legacy better than the classic. And they said it's totally legit. Actually, it's because it's electronics. Electronics is a conduit, and whoever invented the Ghost Radar actually sadly stole it from the person who invented the Ovilus. Literally cut and pasted cut and
pasted for the cell phone instead.
Yeah, just made it for the cell phone. But in a sense, that's really good. So people you can't afford expensive equipment. You can afford a little free app.
Yeah, it's amazing. My favorite case ever is at the Railroad Museum here in Durango, Colorado. And I actually used the Ghost Radar. And Legacy is the best because I can't remember everything they say. So if you get Legacy and you pay that, it used to be 99 cents more. And I still get it because I paid for it way back then. But it came up with so many words. We set that up, and then we went out and set up all our other equipment and came back, and there was a whole freaking story on my phone. And my listeners are probably like, here we go again, Kate Johnson. But they were calling this ghost Emmy, which Emmy is a ghost there, but she's a little girl. The lady ghost is called Kate Johnson, and she said, Kate Johnson, Walter Intention Death, Sharp Tool, mittens, rose, like all these different things that went along with it. Well, come to find out, her name was Kate Johnson. She was a prostitute from Alamosa. She fell in love with a firefighter. They were eloping, so he snuck her on the train. Being she was a working girl, not only did he have time with her, but the brakeman did, and he had strong feelings for her. Well, he found them together. A fight ensued. He stabbed the firefighter to death, and Kate felt like it was her fault. Like, had she not been there, that would have never happened. And so her madam sent her to California from Colorado, and she tried to move on with her life, but she just couldn't. So she ingested muriatic acid, which is the worst way to go, I think. One of the worst. And so she, being raised Catholic, was stuck there on that boxcar. And it was amazing the feelings you'd feel going in there. Like, you'd be going up the stairs and you'd just be feeling all this anxiety and turmoil and such. And you get in there and then it's like claustrophobic and hot. And you move to the back and then it's like, that's where the fight happened. Just a bunch of anxiety. And then you get to the back and you feel heat on your face. But yeah, she was stuck there until a Catholic school class came and released her from purgatory. And then
Wow.
she was gone for 3 months, and then she came back due to her free will to help Emmy because the brakeman's there too. And I will send you the pictures of Kate and Emmy and the brakeman.
I would love it. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's my favorite place here. And I don't go there too much because I don't want to bug Jeff, the curator, but he actually enjoys it. He started doing a paranormal ghost hunt himself.
That's awesome.
But it does
That
work.
is awesome.
And people think it doesn't. They're
No,
like,
it does. It's great. Again, I got validation from these fancy inventor dudes. Again, I'm old school, I'm new school, and then intuitives. I don't want to know things going in. I don't want to know things even when I'm not on TV or whatever. Just let me discover.
Yeah, going in cold is the best because the mind is a powerful thing. And if you know the facts, your mind can pervert it for you. Like, you know, you can make things happen. So it's best to go in cold, pick up what you can find, and then share that, and then find out the information later, I think.
Right. That's a big discussion, though. I love that. I actually just had that discussion with, who was it? Maybe Bridget Marcourt, because some people really do the research, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. But see, it's different for you and I because we're both intuitives. We both have the gift. So we don't want that to be colored. Somebody who doesn't have the gift, maybe it's good to know the history, so you know what to almost look for. But I don't think it is for somebody who, when you want to intuit it.
Yeah, I think it's best to go in cold. And we do preliminary cases, and sometimes we talk to the person in the house away from their house because a lot of these things are intelligent and they can be picking up on what we're talking about, what we're going to do. Do you do cases like that in your area? You'll go in and cleanse and find out what's in there and help them to cohabitate or to get rid of something?
Yeah.
I don't know if I cut out. Did I cut out?
Yeah, you cut out. What did you say?
I was saying, in your area, do you go out and do investigations on people's homes and find out what's there so they can peacefully cohabitate or either get rid of what's there?
Yes. Okay. Now I understand. Okay. I got it. Yes, I do all the time. I do clearings all the time. And I do, whether it's on somebody's little studio apartment or the biggest mansion in Hollywood or Los Angeles, and try to get rid of the dark stuff or let them live with the good stuff or whatever it is, explain what and why. Yeah, I've had the most amazing. It's a lot. Sadly, I sign a lot of what's called an NDA, non-disclosure agreements. The best stuff that I could talk about, I can't talk about. But I have cleared some of the biggest star ghosts out of the biggest, most famous houses. biggest murder things out of castles, and it's insane. But most of my work is like just the regular, whoever's little house and they've got stuff going on, or people choke in the bedroom and then they find out somebody, died of emphysema there. A lot of businesses, I work with a lot of businesses. They can't figure out why things aren't working and why things aren't working. And we go. I do a lot of law offices because there's so much chaos, I guess, or not saying lying in law office, but so much deception and things. A lot of weird stuff happens in law office and agent's office. Again, not that there's nothing wrong with agents, theatrical agents, book agents, actors agents, but it's funny that, I do so many law offices, agent's office, because everybody's one-upping each other. I recently just cleared a beautiful big makeup company because literally it was like a ghost got in there. It was opening drawers and leaving stuff, and everybody was so frightened. This big, huge industrial complex of makeup. And it was like literally the ghost who had died, he was like looking for drugs or something. He was like, and he was like, it's like, oh God, you're not even alive. So I actually brought Sebastian on that one. I went out by myself and then we went out together. I just cleared a clothes making in downtown Los Angeles. This one company, they're clothes makers, and they have all this stuff that happens all the time. I clean them every 2 or 3 years. Something comes in. Once they were robbed, came in, and so yeah, I certainly do that. But what I love about Hollywood, just like we were talking before, big in life, big in death. So Hollywood has really fun ghosts, because again, Bob the quiet, shy banker is Bob the quiet, shy ghost. Clark Gable or some rock star from the 70s is a big boisterous ghost, and they're really fun, like working at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel and doing an investigation there, or Hollywood Forever Cemetery where everybody is, or the Hollywood Athletic Club, which is just used for events now, but in the day, in the 20s and 30s, the Johnny Weissmuller, the Tarzan of the day, that's where they hung, that's where they worked out, it's where they drank, it's where they partied. The American Legion Hall. Actually, that was my very first ghost adventures with the American Legion. They called me in because I had seen the ghost of Charlie Chaplin there, and unbeknownst to me, where I saw him, where I pointed him out to Zach, is exactly where he sat. I didn't know that in the thing. That was my first episode. But happy ghosts hang out there. They don't hang out there because it was where the serial killer killed them, or because it's the insane asylum or the hospital that everybody died in. They hang out there because it was a party place. So those are the really fun locations. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I imagine. I've only used a Ouija board once in my life, and I was an MRP in the military because I'd broken myself, and they were using a Ouija board, and I was raised not to play Dungeons and Dragons, which I love playing, and not to use a Ouija board. And so these girls are playing with this Ouija board that we actually got from Private Black, who had actually been killed during tank training. He was ran over. So the men's MRP and the women's MRP were passing it back and forth and using it. And while we had it, it was during Hurricane Bonnie. So that's a whole nother realm added to it. But they're using it and they're like, hey, you want to try it? And I'm like, well, my mom, which is my aunt who adopted me, she's not going to know. So I'll try it. And I got on there and I was like, can I talk to my mom? And it said no. So I was like, fuck you, I'm going to go take a shower. I'm not even going to mess with this. And when I came back out, everybody was gone, probably watching Titanic for the 1,000th time. And it was on my rack, and I'm like, okay, this is really tempting. I didn't know the rule that you're not supposed to get on it alone, but I did. I was like, okay, I'll try it again. And I got on there, and this thing just started taking off, and it was spelling all my siblings' names, which I came from a family of 5 kids. And then it went through, from the oldest to the youngest, tell them I'm okay, everything's okay. The same thing she told me when she came to me in a dream right after she died when I was 6. And then I started asking her other questions like, what is it like on the other side? Where are you at? Are you ever with me? And she said she could go anywhere, anytime she wanted. She could fly. She could do all these other things. And it's kind of omnipresent, like she's always with me, but she's in other places too, because I know she's with my siblings as well. But it was just really cool, really interesting, so I was so excited. Next day I ran over to where all the payphone, Superman payphone thingies are, and run in there, close the door, call my dad, and I'm like, hey Dad, guess what? I talked to Mom last night and told him about it, and he's like, that could be a spirit pretending to be your mom, trying to misguide you, but I think it was her. But I never again did use a Ouija board. My mentor, who taught me so much about crystals and stones and magic and everything, who died from cancer, she used to use it like a cell phone. And she's like, hey, you want to come over and use the Ouija board? And I'm like, no, but I'll film it. I just didn't want to ruin that experience and didn't want to tempt fate. You know what I mean?
They're a tool to me. I've been using a Ouija board safely since I was 8 years old. I have the exact same two from when I was a little kid, and now I collect them. I have them from 1920 up to modern ones. But you have to know what you're doing. You have to use respect. You have to know your cosmology. You have to set up wards. You can't just let anybody, and hey, anybody out there, really? You are going to get like the liquor store.
Yeah.
Reverend. Well, yeah, I'm your mom. The pervert next door. But I've safely used them forever until last year. I broke my own rule again, and I don't think they should be sold in toy stores. I think they should have a completely different set of instructions. Not this is a game. No, this is not a game. It's a tool. Like again, you have to know how to use it. But it's no different than dowsing rods, a pendulum, a ghost box. It's just an old-fashioned version of it. But I was with my old show, Magic Hour, with my then producer, we have been friends for 10 plus years, and she was way into the paranormal, and it was the best. And I was doing kind of a seance-based show, and we were doing crime stuff because she had a crime background, and I was working with amazing AP Associated Press. So we were getting ready. We were going to call in Black Dahlia killer, Dr. George Hodel, who I've channeled before, and I've done a few things at that insane house. But I didn't set up my ward. She goes, oh, I want to talk to my friend, like basically using it like a cell phone. I want to talk to my friend, who does it. Okay, so we just did it. I didn't set up my warding. I didn't do it. And all of a sudden, something happened. It pushed me into literally the back of this chair right behind me. I heard a crack. I'm kidding to the floor. I'm sliding down to the floor. She's like, are you okay, Patty? I'm like, no, I'm not okay. And I always say I'm okay. Somebody could cut off my head. I'd be like, I'm fine.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, no, I am not okay. And I'm sliding to the ground. I thought I broke my ribs. I didn't break my ribs, but it ripped all the cartilage off my floating ribs. I had to go to emergency. It was like insane. And it was my stupid. Thank God there wasn't working with clients or people. So I've had one bad experience out of 1,000 experiences, but you have to, number one, respect. Number two, you have to know what you're doing, there's a billion right ways to protect yourself. Just know one of them and know who or what are you going to call if you get into trouble. You know?
The only thing that went wrong for me is I'm on it and my platoon mates are like, moving me around, shoving me like, Tessa. I don't hear or feel any of it. Like, I'm so into this, they don't even exist. It's kind of like you're in another realm or a tunnel of another realm or something. Finally, they broke me from it. But other than that, nothing bad happened. Except for shortly after that was the first time I had sleep paralysis. And I fought it so hard that every muscle in my body hurt for about a week and a half. But that was about the end of that. I mean, don't use it alone. Make sure you close it out. But what an amazing way to market it than a parlor game for kids. Ages, what is it, 6 and up or something? It's like, no.
Yeah. It's insane. It's like, here's a gun. Have a gun at Toys R Us. Yeah.
And, they'll run away and leave it open. Who knows what's going to creep in from that. But on that note, we do have to go to our second musical break. And on this break, We have the same two beautiful ladies. We have Miss McKaylin Hay from Ontario, Canada with Devil You Know, as well as Mirror. And then we have Tracy Cruz from Oakland, California with Emotional Love and Electricity. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this musical break.
Your troubled heart bleeds like a river. It's rushing towards fields painted greener. It doesn't see the demons behind, praying you're getting close to the line, so they can get their hands on love and trade it off for silver. Forget you, tell me how to turn a blind eye. Boy, I don't know what to do. My heart is so confused. In the past, it's been put down, it's been shattered, and then I'm left without any clue to know the real truth about what I found. But with you, I found my common ground. Your love makes me emotional, 'cause you're the one that makes me feel emotional. You make me feel that love is real, 'cause you're the one that makes me feel emotional. Ever since I was young, my mom said love makes you strong when everything goes wrong and you can't go on. I believe the love you have for me surpassed infinity. That's why you're all I see. Your love makes me emotional, 'cause you're the one that makes me feel so emotional. 'Cause you're the one that makes me feel. Your love makes me emotional. Your love, 'cause you're the one that makes me feel so emotional. Love is real, 'cause you're the one that makes me feel. What you have is magical. We feel so emotional. You move me so I can't let go. I can't let go. You touch my soul, I can't let go. I can't let go. 'Cause what we have is magical. Your love's emotional. Your love makes me emotional. You're the one that makes me feel. Can't you see you do something to me? Oh, I can't let go. You make me feel. Your love's emotional. So emotional. So emotional. It feels so real to me. It feels so real to me. It feels so real to me. You're the one that makes me feel. It feels so real, yeah. Love is real. Makes me feel, emotional.
Your love empowers me. It gives me the energy to move beyond my capabilities. There is no limit to what your love can do.
I feel chemistry whenever you're close to me, and I cannot explain your energy, 'cause you're pulling me like gravity. It feels so strong, I cannot escape your electricity. This rush keeps flowing
microphone. I receive what you say to me.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Tonight we are joined by the beautiful and talented Miss Patti Negri. Patti, welcome back, and thanks so much for hanging out with us for 3 hours. Does it really feel like 3 years? I'm just kidding.
It doesn't. I admit, I told you, I was worried going 3 hours. Nobody wants to listen to me for 3 hours. Does anybody want to listen to anybody for 3 hours? But this is flying by. You're good. You're a good host, Tessa. This is awesome. I'm having a blast.
Well, thank you. And it does seem like that. It's like every time I do it and people are like, oh man, 3 hours. And I'm like, it really does fly by. And I swear to God, it's not going to feel like enough time. So you're going to have to come back.
I love it.
We were just talking about Hollywood and Miss Peg Entwistle. She's the one that comes up first and foremost in my mind because I've heard so many various stories. Have you ever experienced anything? Have you ever tried to walk up the Hollywood Hills or see if you could find her? Or have you ever picked up on her energy?
I personally have not. We were actually scheduled to do a Peg Entwistle Hollywood sign walk about 3 months ago now, I think, with Frankie Funk, a different paranormal group. I live right there, though. I live under the Hollywood sign. I live off of Beechwood Canyon where she lived. I have lived on Beechwood Canyon now. I'm 3 minutes away. And I live in that old creative Hollywood that everybody who comes here are the dreamers, whether they're just fresh off the bus from Ohio or they're born into this thing. So it is a super magical place. And I work out in Hollywood every day. Again, right now I'm doing it from my living room, but I go up to Lake Hollywood literally in the shade of the Hollywood sign and teach a free workout class 6 days a week, literally under the sign around the Hollywood Reservoir. So, and the movie stars are walking by, running by every day. But about, I don't know, just before the shutdown, we were doing a whole Hollywood sign, Peg Entwistle thing with the paranormal group. And the day before, I'm kind of actually active in not city politics, but sort of. I'm on the board of Hollywood Arts Council. I was president of my neighborhood association, which is like 1,200 homes in the Hollywood Hills called the Hollywood Dell. And so I hang with the mayor and the council. So I got a call the night before, and I was like, "Hi, Patti. Hi, this is, I don't know, Ranger Bob." Oh, hi, Ranger Bob.
Hey.
I hear you're going to be going up to the Hollywood sign. I went, well, I was just reading into it. Well, yeah, well, not really. We're going to go to Lake Hollywood Park, right under the Hollywood sign where it's allowed. Because, yeah, we're doing, not a lot of people, just a few people, no lights, no. Yeah, well, I'm going to have to shut you down. And I'm like, oh, God. I go, oh, please don't. I go, I'm not even the organizer of this, but it's my friend, and that he's put everything into this. This really, it's just, again, it's a handful of people. We're just going to go sit there with little flashlights and ghost meters. And, well, I go, please be nice. He goes, okay, I'm going to have to nicely shut him down. Literally the night before. So Yeah, and they did. So we did not get to do it, and I was so excited about doing it. But the night, actually, my very first going back to Ghost Adventures, my very first Ghost Adventures episode was Haunted Hollywood. I did not do. They did go up to the Hollywood sign. I did not. I was just at the Hollywood, the American Legion Hall. That segment was my segment. But they did go up there, and it's a wild place actually, because you can hike there now. You couldn't for years and years and years, because actually they have like little cameras hidden, and if you're hiking up there, it's like the camera hears you. It's like, go back. They'll send you to go back. You are breaking the law. But now they have little paths they built up along the ridge of the Hollywood sign that you could literally walk behind it. And
It's
I
like,
haven't
why
even
fight the current? Just let people go up there. You know they want to go up there. Yeah.
But it's a huge sign. People don't get how big it is. It's crazy big. And it's amazing to me that it was basically a billboard. It was a real estate billboard, Hollywoodland. That's some very clever, and now it's the most iconic sign in the world.
Well, yeah, and didn't it used to have land behind it? Because I remember that. Hollywoodland. Yeah.
And it, to buy houses in my neighborhood. There was a brand new housing tract, or whatever they called it in the 1920s. You know, live in Hollywood, the new city, and they were building all these little houses. And it was basically a billboard.
And Walt Disney's like, well, I'm going to make Disneyland.
I'm going to make Disneyland. Yeah, all that down. And Universal Studios. But it was falling down in disarray for a long time, just like Hollywood. We were talking about Hollywood, how through the 80s and 90s, it was scary bad.
Yeah.
But it's not beautiful. Again, now we've got COVID. Wait through COVID, because you can't even come here now. There's everything shut down.
And people are like, what? You were talking about Hollywood? And we were on break, and I was saying how when I was 12 or 13, I went to Disneyland, and I really wanted to go see Hollywood because I've always had aspirations, even though I'm not that outgoing. But I went down there, and I was so let down because there was just this darkness, even in the air, on the streets, and there was really nobody where we went. Like, couldn't they taken us up like Beverly Hills Drive or somewhere like that instead of downtown Hollywood? But like you're saying, it's kind of rejuvenated and there's a different energy there. There's so many. Yeah, there were so many dark things back in the day, you know, Pizzagate and all these other things going on in Hollywood that people talk about. But, you know, that's being stamped out. And now it's hopefully a new generation for everyone.
It's a new world. Again, we do have a weird homeless problem, which all of Los Angeles does, all of Southern California does. But other than that, the studios have come back. The stars have come back, where nobody lived in Hollywood. Now they've all come back. My house is worth tons of money.
You're like, yes! Now I can move to Malibu.
Yeah, no, my neighborhood. Where I work out, you know, you'd see Madonna walk by every day, or all these stars. That's what it is. The magic came back. The magic came back, but it had just gone to such disarray for whatever reasons. I don't know what happened. It became just, you know, drug dealers and hookers, and everybody moved away. That was the creative. But there is a vortex. There is a vortex in the Hollywood Hills, and it's brought everybody back. It's an energy vortex. And it's brought back the creative people. So Viacom's got studios there. Netflix has studios there. New Hollywood is great. The neighborhood, they're building big, beautiful houses, little, beautiful houses. It's like the creative capital again.
We've been telling
once
we get past the COVID. Yes. I know. We've been telling our oldest daughter, and she's now 20. We finally took her when she was 19 to Disneyland with the rest of the kids, and we finally made it. It took us only 17 years to do it. But we finally got everyone to go to Disneyland. But, I mean, this is the first time Disneyland's been shut down. Like, everything all over the world is shut down, and I know there's a lot of people like, this is about Donald Trump and how he didn't get impeached. And I'm like, no, it isn't. This is a worldwide thing. Like, this is why we're all kind of reconnecting and regrouping as brothers and sisters, because it isn't just us. It's everywhere.
Yes, it's everywhere.
It's insanity.
It's bigger than conspiracy theories. It's bigger than politics. It's energetic shift.
It is. It's something that we need, but at the same time, there is a lot of tragedy in new beginnings, but I think this is a new beginning, and things are going to get better. And people are like, do you realize what's happening to the economy, so on and so forth? Like, this is not the first time we've been here. We will come back, and we'll be better than ever. You know, this is just a learning process for us, and hopefully we do learn a lot of different random things that we need to learn from this, but for sure, it's a new beginning.
No, and that's what I think too. That's why when you see, I don't want to get too far, and I'm sure there's some truth there, into conspiracy theories in the dark and what they're going to do and this and the government. That's not going to move us forward. Let's discover, like, oh yeah, I'm actually having fun home with my husband for once and my kids for once and playing board games for once. You know, there's that whole movement opening up too. And so hopefully we keep what really matters, what really this is. And then we could go back to a better form of real life, not take it for granted. Again, our environment, the planet, nature.
And that's what I love about it. Like, that is my favorite part. Like, everybody's going from the bump and grind of, I have to do this in order to advance in the workforce, when in reality, your family is more important than all of that. And of course, you have to work in order to support your family, but it's actually giving a new perspective to everybody. They're seeing things they haven't before and spending time with family and actually relishing and embellishing and enjoying the family life, which is so much, like, number one important for everything. But they didn't realize that before, you know, because they got stuck in the bump and grind of, I have to work 2 or 3 jobs or even one major job.
Yeah.
And you're talking about conspiracy theories. Everybody's talking about being chipped. Well, right here, what's this? There's a little chip in my bank card right here. You know, we're all chipped anyways.
All chipped anyway. Yeah, I know. And I just say away. It's like, even if there's truth there, even if there's a lot of truth there, anything that's going to be fear-based or control-based, just step away. That's not going to help us move forward. Yes, I don't want to stick my head in the sand like an ostrich. No, I don't want to do that. But I'm not going to buy into this, you know, doom and gloom thing. I won't. And it's not going to happen. And I'm not going to let it happen, damn it.
Yes,
because I see a big, bright future, and we're powerful beings.
And there is a lot of fear out there to take seriously. Like, seriously, wear your gloves, wear your mask, or like I said on my Facebook Live, wear your body condom if you have to. I don't care. Protect yourself, or stay home, or whatever, you know. You're getting a check every month. Supposedly, there's another check coming out this month to stay the fuck home. Stay your ass home. Nobody needs to see you that bad. And I get it, because I was kind of like, you know, I can't wait till this distancing happens on my own terms again, because I've always been a homebody for I don't know how many years now, and I prefer to stay home and do my own thing instead of going out and soaking up other people's energies. But it's very important right now to stay home, stay safe, unless you have to go out. It is very serious, and it's not about Trump. It's not about anything like that. It's about our health. And a lot of people, especially in Texas, are trying to open up right now. Do they not remember the Spanish influenza when, I think it was Austin or Houston, opened up early and had to go through it not once, but 3 times. Be patient, stay the course, and we'll get through it. If you try to open up too early, it's going to recycle.
I know. You look at the thing, because if you look at the real statistics, the places that haven't been as careful, when they just say how many diseases there are, the numbers mean nothing. The deaths mean nothing until you say percentages. And you look at the percentages of people who don't care, and they're out there hugging and kissing, and their percentages of the illness and death are huge. And the places like California, and I think Colorado, they're small because it's just science. It's just friggin' science.
Yeah, my sister Helen, she's my Puerto Rican sister. She lives out there in California, and she's in the medical field. And I'm like, are you at least wearing your mask? Are you wearing your gloves? You're taking care of yourself? She's like, yes. Shut up, I'm being safe. And I'm like, all right, as long as you're being safe, that's all I care about, because she's got so many health issues, and people don't think a lot about that. If you have underlying health issues, any heart issues, even if you don't know you have one, like, this can really affect you. I don't know if my family's had it. I know we've been sick a couple times since lockdown. This last one is really, drag me down to where I don't feel like I'm straining to breathe, but I feel like I'm not having enough oxygen, and I'm like, just get off me. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do other things to get around it. I think it's something totally different. But at the same time, that whole paranoia sneaks in and you're like, oh my God, do I have COVID-19? I don't know. I don't think I do.
No, I got tested. We could all get tested now in California. You don't have to have symptoms. I got tested. I'm negative. But I tested not because I was worried about it, because I am careful, but because I have an elderly brother I help take care of. And I can't wear a mask with him. I take a shot with this and that. And I'm taking his house. So I wanted to make sure I was safe. But yeah, you got to take it seriously.
That's awesome. And yeah, I heard other naysayers saying, oh, you can only get it once. There's this one particular woman that I saw that has tested positive 3 times. Is it because they don't know how long the cycle lasts? Or is it because she is being reinfected? It's hard to say. But we don't want to stick on this negative case. We want to be positive. But it's important to talk about the facts and make sure we're being safe and make sure we're not being ignorant, because that's a big thing going on right now. This is serious. Take it seriously. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. And do things around the house like me. Like, I'm planting things. I can't, like you said, with your office, you're cleaning up so much, like you don't even recognize your office.
So good. I feel so good. For the last month, I would walk in and go, oh, now I'm going, woo-hoo! It's amazing. Just, I'm sure the same with you with planting things. It's like new things. It's amazing. So those little victories, those little joys, that's what this is about.
Mm-hmm.
Not what we don't have. It's, the old glass half empty, glass half full. Feed the good wolf, not the bad wolf. It's like, wow, we have this opportunity. Let's make the best of it.
Indeed. It's most important. And, for me, the big picture, we get to reestablish our family and appreciate it and realize what we actually have instead of looking to the monetary and other things that don't really matter. It's the family and the love and what you have right there that really matters. The things that you've kind of been leaving behind that you now realize you have. I don't know. It's kind of a reawakening, I think, for everybody on so many different levels.
Huge. I know. I cry once a day at some Facebook post or YouTube post, one of those, the bedtime story or one of those, like.
Yeah, I shared that. Did you see that where the guy from Britain?
Yes, I love that. That's like, yeah, that's it.
You hit right on the spot.
Let us feel. We feel, not numb.
Yeah, and a lot of people worry about that. Right after this, we'll get off on other things, but they worry about, okay, so is this social distancing going to cause us to be like PTSD or social anxiety, things like that? But I think it's helping a lot of us in different ways. So don't worry about things that could be. Just worry about what is.
Yeah, and don't worry. Just go with it. Is do what's smart. Take action. And worrying doesn't help. And just be smart. Be smart. Gretchen just asked, the ghosts are cleaning too. They are. Spirits have been a little wackety. They're going, what's going on with those living people right now?
The crap.
So, yeah, I wish we could go on a paranormal investigation. I wish we could go do something like that, because they'd be going, what the heck's going on here, you humans? It's good, it's bad, it's everything in between. Because it really is bringing out the best in us and bringing out the worst in us. I do believe good is going to win and the light is going to win. But it's pretty funny. The spirit world, yes, Gretchen, it's like, what? They're cleaning house too.
I think we all are. Like, we're starting with the outside and we're working our way in, which I've been working on the inside and the outside. But yeah, it's amazing. Even my daughter, she's like, she went out and cleaned the yard by herself. We used to have a friend because my husband is the biggest enabler I know. And he's let everybody live with us. But his friend Brian, who used to be his drummer, my husband's a bass player, your husband's a drummer.
Yeah.
He used to live with us. He decided he wanted to move out into the yard. So he put up a tent in the yard, which got destroyed. I've been finding his tent parts, his clothes, random beer cans and vodka and tequila bottles everywhere. And I'm like, good God, Brian, like, why could you not throw this stuff away? But we've been cleaning the yard and cleaning up the area, and it's kind of like we're internally cleaning and we're outwardly cleaning. Like, we're doing a whole cycle just like the earth is. And we're all trying to get our shit straight. So when we get started again, we'll be all good.
That's hysterical. I just cannot believe you have a drummer or had a drummer living in your backyard. I'm so sorry.
Oh, he's not there anymore. He actually finally went to rehab. Poor guy.
Good. That's funny. It's the rhythm section. Bass players, drummer. That's funny.
Yeah. My husband's a bass player. Yours is a drummer.
Rhythm section. And that's great. So that's why we both love, not why we both love music. We both very musicians because we both love music.
Yeah, that's one of the things I swore I'd never do. I swore I'd never join the military. I did, due to an abusive relationship. I swore I'd never marry a musician. I did, because he's very charismatic and tricked me into it. I swore I'd never get married because I don't believe in the whole structure that everybody else does, because it never happens that way. And I got married, so yeah. I'm a sucker.
Never say never. I always say never say never.
Yeah, me too. And then I'm like, I just said it twice. But yeah, every time I've said never, it has happened. So I've learned to not ever say the N-word, which is never. It's funny though, like talking about the N-word. When I went out to California, I met up with my sister Helen, which is my Puerto Rican sister, and she's married to my black brother John. And I went to the UFO conference in San Francisco. That's where I met Eric with a K. I met Dave from Beyond the Strange. I met Dave from Spaced Out Radio. I met so many people there. That's the very first and only conference I ever went to. And I drove out there by myself. Ended up sleeping in my car because everybody thought I was a prostitute because I was trying to rent a room after 2:00 in the morning. We don't support prostitution. I'm like, I'm a mother of 4 kids and I just need a place to sleep for 4 hours. But, yeah, it was an amazing experience. I really enjoyed it, but I stayed at my sister's house after that. And I was like, hell yeah, it's like awesome to hang out with and I'm trying to be socially acceptable African American brothers. He's like, why the fuck are you gonna call us that? We're your niggas. And I'm like, all right, hanging out with my niggas. It's like, what do you say? Like, you're trying to be politically correct and you insult people. Does it just all depend on what your relationship is with them? I wonder. I
don't think that the rules. There's no rules to that kind of rule. Like, yeah, I think. Yeah, you have to learn in a theatrical Los Angeles term is speak to your audience, whatever that is. Like, say if you're talking about the birds and the bees, you're going to talk about the birds and the bees one way to your kindergarten class, one room to your 8th grade class, one group to your grad students, one way to your 80-year-old, grandma's group, and it's speak to your audience. So that's all. That's the best wisdom I have for that.
Yeah, and that's when I started smoking again because I had quit smoking, went out to California. I bummed a couple of Dave Scott's Canadian cigarettes, which they were okay. But then when I was sitting there on the front porch right in front of Normandy, I'm like, man, a grape cigar or Swisher Sweet really sounds good right now. I'm trying to dig into my roots. So I went down and got one. That's when I started smoking again. But you know what? I always say I'm not a quitter. But I really do want to quit because I'm not smoking a lot, but still, I know it's not good for my health. But I mean, it's so.
Have you tried the patch? Have you tried the patch?
I have, and I think I'm allergic to the sticky stuff on it because I'll get the red around it. So I have nicotine gum. I'm just waiting for this Monday because it's easier on Mondays than right before the weekend because that's when I do my show. So I'm going to try again. I promise everyone. And I won't even say anything this time because I don't want anybody to know. That way I don't get all the pressure. Because
I was a crazy heavy smoker, and I haven't smoked in 20 years. I was a crazy heavy smoker, and the patch was heaven for me. I didn't have any allergy. But talk about dream life and the dreams like we were talking about oh my God, I couldn't wait to go to sleep at night because my dream world was better than my real world. maybe they'll change the thing in the patch. I love the patch so much. I almost became addicted to the patch. It's like, screw smoking. I don't want to stop the patch. Patches everywhere.
Let's put on 5.
But I went off the patch. And the freedom once you quit. I would never have a cigarette. I'll smoke other things, but I will not smoke this. I will actually smoke a cigar on occasion because you don't inhale. It's a whole different, not a Swisher Sweet because that's too close to a cigarette.
Yeah,
but my
I
husband's
know.
like, cigar, babe.
Yeah, and here 420 is totally legal, and my crop is looking wonderful. But yeah, I partake in
here
other
it's totally
things.
legal.
Yeah,
And
and
here
you
it's
guys
totally
are too.
legal and an essential business.
Woo woo! I actually went to a dispensary in California, and they had this awesome artwork on the front of the building and everything, but it was kind of in an alley, and there was a security guard in the front, like you're going into a club, and I was like, oh yeah, here we go. But it was awesome. I got to see my grandparents. Got to take a cactus home, which the fucking drummer Brian killed it when we went to Disneyland. Thank you, Brian.
Damn drummer.
Damn drummers and Domino's delivery drivers. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's interesting. So, when did you first start to practice witchcraft?
I think, oh my goodness, maybe somewhere in the 80s. I was trying everything and New Age was a little squeaky, crystally for me. I work with crystals. Everything that they do is good, but it was so chiffony, fluffy, and that didn't quite work. All the general religions were there was something about them. I think I went to something I lived by Long Beach, in Long Beach Women's Spirit, and there was a group of women, there was men there too, but it was this beautiful, very shamanic earthen path, very kind of post-hippy dippy, but 70s or 80s version of it, I guess 80s. And I went, oh, this is it. But within that, I took a million turns because oh no, I'm not Dianic. They hate men. No, I'm not ceremonial. That's too rigid. Oh no, I'm not Wiccan. I don't want to turn it into a religion. Oh no, everything. Oh, I'm not became everything thrown into a pot. So I was with this most beautiful circle of women, coven of women. We were actually very academic because we were like college professors. We were together for 20 something years, but we were eclectic. We had every month, if you were the high priestess that month, we might do a Jewish ceremony. We might do a Hindu ceremony. We would do a pagan ceremony. We would do a Celtic ceremony. We would do a Druidic ceremony. We would do a Christian. And it was just so magical. We kind of broke up literally because people moved away and we were, 1,000 miles from each other. So I haven't had a group like that since, but I do a lot of public ritual and I teach and I'm more solitary practitioner. And now I've got my vampires, which is pretty much the damn same thing, only we dress even better. But the magic is the same. It's elemental. It's so sexy because they're very hedonistic and I'm very hedonistic. So it's like, yeah, it's good. So like what we did in New Orleans this year, what we did in Dallas, what we do in Los Angeles, these beautiful, and they're all positive. People don't get it. People think witches are bad and evil. What people think of vampires, but not my sect of vampires. With the magic we do and ritual do is so encompassing and amazing. It's just like, it's life affirming, powerful magic. It's like, what could be wrong with that?
Well, and a lot of it is like being in touch with Mother Earth, right?
Yeah. It's complete Mother Earth. It's nature. It's going back to ancient man who didn't have science. All they had was seasons and moon cycles and sun cycles and planet cycles. So that's why the 8 Sabbaths of witchcraft are literally, there's the harvest, there's the spring. It's farmer talk. It's farmer talk. It's what it is.
The almanac.
And again, I'm so lucky. Well, you're west too. Colorado is west, but I'm so lucky. I mean, I belong to a private club called Cloak and Dagger, which is literally run by these beautiful
heard of that.
It's the best. We do I mean, we can't even talk about what we do. There's no cameras, there's no anything, but it's so like, it's dance, it's club, it's everything. But the magic we do, the ritual we do, is just like, I'm just really blessed to be here. I remember years and years and years and years ago, my first tour, again, I had a comedy background, but I was hiding my spirituality, but I was a theatrical person. I remember, and I'm an LA girl. I'm born and raised West Coast, liberal, West Coast liberal. And I remember my first trip through the Midwest and the South. I went through culture shock. I'm like, what are they? What? So I'm very grateful that I do live a place that we really can be our freaky selves.
So
but you
awesome.
are too. You're there too. We are,
I
I've
embrace
been
my
to
freakiness.
California.
I actually kicked around doing Wiccan, and I had no idea that my mother was into that. I knew she was spiritual. I knew she would go for fun and go up to cemeteries and smoke a joint and talk to the dead, and they'd talk back to her and all these other things. And then later on, it was actually about 4 or 5 years ago, I learned that my mother was actually into white magic. And my siblings, my older siblings, which were quite separated like my kids are, like I never planned except for one of my kids, which was my second. But they found one of her magic books and they opened it up and they read from it. And now my sister, not so much, but my oldest brother thinks that we're cursed because they read out of the book and now something's after him. And it's due to a deal that my mom did, which my mom saw the devil in the same room that I saw, which was her room. But I grew up there also because I was at my grandparents' house and I experienced what I used to think were kobolds, but the closest thing I could call them was gremlins, because that's what they looked like, but their ears were a little shorter and they were dancing around the fire, and some had drums, some had spears or daggers or whatever, and then they all stopped at once and looked where I was, and of course I slammed myself back into my bed, pull up the sheet of armor, which is the best protection for every child out there.
You betcha. That's sadly, again, I try to sleep like this on your back because for wrinkles, you get to a certain age. The one thing about being a gifted kid, I sleep on my friggin' face like this. I sleep under the blankets with my face down. It's like I cannot get over it. I cannot be this open, even though I know ghosts are great, spirits are great. It's insane like that. But again, it's okay. You can dance with the devil. You just don't let him lead.
Yeah.
Dance with the devil. Don't let him lead.
I used to wonder why I slept on my stomach, but now that makes sense because you're just trying to cover everything.
Right. Anybody I know who's really gifted or who sees spirits when they're young, we sleep like this. So again, not good or bad. It's just we know that protection method. It's a protection method. And so now we get to a certain age, it's like, no, I want to sleep like this. I can't.
Yeah, I know the blanket and sheet of armor. Those work.
Yeah, completely.
Pretending like you're a statue. Don't move, except for your eyeballs. But yeah, I wondered why I slept on my stomach. Even as a baby, I'd sleep on my stomach with my butt up in the air. But I always slept on my stomach until I got pregnant with my first kid. And then you're not supposed to. So I learned to sleep on my side or my back. At first I could on my back, but not later on. And then on my side, which was hard too. I have tried to sleep on my stomach since, but I can't. I don't know why, but that makes sense now. Now I know why I did it. Thank you.
That's why you did it. I'm every once in a while able to multitask. And Gretchen asked, do ghosts smoke on the other side? I think they must smoke because I smell smoke all the time. That's one of the clairs, clairaudient, clairsentient, clairvoyant, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, there's Grandpa's cigar. There's Grandpa's pipe there. Yeah. So I think ghosts must smoke on the other side. They haven't got the cat.
Yeah. I saw a case the other day where they actually, in a certain prison, I can't remember which one it was, but if you put your cigarette on this certain room and you say, hey, so-and-so, you can go ahead and take a puff and then you'll see the cherry light up. And then the guy flicked on the light really quick and there's nobody there, but you could see that the cherry did light up, that somebody actually took a drag off of it. It might have been Omar Gosh, or it could have been somebody else. I've been watching so many different people these days because I find comfort in scary movies and such, and I'll fall asleep to it. that was the norm for me growing up. Scary movies.
Me too. I grew up on Dark Shadows when I was a little bitty kid, and Twilight Zone and The Outer Limits. I didn't watch like Happy Days.
Alfred Hitchcock. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I was really cool in the late 80s. They redid Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and I got to do an episode, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm Alfred. Oh, I did. It was great, and it was one of the very special ones. Burt Reynolds directed it. I got to work with Martin Sheen and Bernie Casey and Parker Stevenson, and all these amazing stars. I had like
Oh my
3
God,
lines or
lady.
4 lines. I was like, it was great.
You're so lucky. You're so gifted and blessed, and there's a reason for it. You know, I don't know if it's this life or the past life or whatever, but you're getting your goods. Holy shnikes. That's insane.
Shnikes! No, and I was so nervous though, because I've been doing like bad B movies for years, and little parts and big parts, and I remember
watched some of your old ones where you're going through the cemetery and stuff.
Oh, that's funny. I haven't even seen them. Probably.
That was a long time ago.
That's funny. But yeah, I remember Martin Sheen made me so comfortable because he could probably tell I was really nervous. He is such a sweet man. He is such a good man. He goes, this is TV. This is acting. Just have fun with this. I go, okay. And I was still, but yeah, I've met some of the amazing people in this town. Ricardo Montalban on Fantasy Island was one of the sweetest men I ever met. He, so respectful. I was like the lowest level of the totem pole on that show. And he would remember my name, my then husband's name, my dog's name. He'd eat lunch with us. Herbie Velichez or other people like, he was like, hey, Patty, how's your dog Greta? I was like, oh, there's some amazing people in this world.
Are you stalking me? And it's funny, we have different ideas of people, and there's a particular one who played in one of my favorite movies, The Shawshank Redemption, and other movies. He even played the voice of God, who I've always thought highly of, but once you read about him from different people, it's not what you thought it was, and that's the whole facade of Hollywood. Could be what you think it is, could not be. Things could be totally opposite. Tom Hanks, I know, that guy has got to be a good person.
He's got to be a good person, yeah. He's got to be a good person. And some people, you would have good days and bad days. Again, Hollywood celebrity, they're human, just like you, just or me. We have good days, we have bad days, but they're in a spotlight. They're in a petri dish. So Madonna or whoever goes out one day and sweats, it's like, oh, she's gone, whatever. It's ridiculous. It's because there's this weird spotlight on them. So they have a price to pay. But it's a well-paid price to pay.
Sandra just said, I watched the new Fantasy Island movie this last week.
Really? Oh, I didn't see a new one. That's hysterical. But I was on Lava for a year. So if you watch any of those really old ones, the little girls running around in bikini tops and sarongs, I would bring Rourke his drink as they got off the plane. I would put the lays on people when they got off the plane and serve them. Once I spilled a whole bottle of champagne on Ricardo Montalban. I was such a klutz. I was like, he's like,
let me
he was
clean
so
it off.
It was very funny, but that was the job to have in the day.
Gretchen was wondering, do the stars know they have passed? But before that, she was asking about herbs for this COVID-19, and I didn't want to forget that one. And we're not really in depth as far as that goes, but we have some good things, like echinacea is a good one.
Echinacea is a good one. I'm not ingesting herb people. I burn herbs. I roll around in herbs. I put them in my tinctures and my stuff. I'm not a big ingester, so I can't say that. But yeah, echinacea is a great one. And anything, like I work a lot with not to eat. I'm not telling you to eat or take any of this, but mugwort is such a cleanser. Dragon's blood enhances things. So find some joy. Work some dragon's blood. So many, you need to get some energy back. Go with the simple things like cinnamon and stuff. Get a good herb book, a magical herb book, and just see what pulls you in, not just because of what they write, but what pulls you in. Again, I take very little within my mouth, but I'm sitting here mixing herbs and oils and burning and making incenses and making tinctures and making things to put in my water thing, whatever you call that, vaporizer. So there's a million good ones, but I would suggest what you're led to. And again, I like your idea, Ignatia. And mugwort enhances everything. Lavender really relaxes beautifully to just bring things in. And I'll put dragon's blood in anything. I'm a dragon girl.
Lemon's good. Garlic in your food is good. What else? Honey. So good for you.
Honey, cream. It's fairy food too. We need to bring in the fairy. Whether you believe fairies are real little Tinkerbell things, just like I'm a dragon girl, dragons, they fly, they're crossroads beasts. They fly between heaven and earth. Fairies are that mischief, the music, the lightness. Just like we love angels. Angels are dextral, they're pure. Angels do two things, enlightenment and protection, which are two of the best things, but they can't cause shift or change because they're dextral. There's no sensual side to them. So yes, bring in your angels for protection and for enlightenment. Then bring in some fairies for laughter and love and joy. Then bring in some dragons to change shit. That's your crossroads animals. That's when you want to get that job. Yeah. It's the energy within it. Whether you believe those things or not, it's that beautiful energy within it.
I think fairies exist, and I have seen lights. Even here today, I see them. I know we don't have fireflies here in Arkansas. They're still there, but there's very few now due to pesticides and stuff. But I'll see little sparks and stuff there. Is that fae, or is that a spark of a spirit? I've seen spirits in orbs. Those, I think, are fae. And we're doing
with you
things.
Faye. With you, Faye. Look at your background. My God, you have sparkling light. You have color. You're a fairy girl. You have Faye. It's Faye. When you see them in the sides of your eyes, I feed them. Yeah, oh my God, we just passed Mayday, Beltane. It's Faye. You're going to see the lights, the sparkles. It could be spirits too, but a couple years ago on May Day, Beltane, which is the eve of May 1st, when the other day when the veil is the thinnest besides Samhain, Halloween, my husband and I actually, and he's not into all this stuff, we went down. I had this little cup, and it was like shaped like a daisy, and had 6 little cups, like say for sauces, and we put half honey and half cream in each one and made a wish, so it looked like a cappuccino. Dark honey and white cream in 6 little. Okay, world peace here. Okay, love for us here. Whatever we wish for, these 6 little cups. And they were equal amounts of honey and cream. And we left them deep in our backyard. We made these wishes. We did this magic for the fae, for the fairy. We came upstairs. I went down the next morning. They'd moved them. 3 just had honey. 3 just had cream. No human had gone down there. No human had known we had done this. I'm like, that's what the fae do. So again, bring some more fairy into your life. Give them some honey. Give them some whiskey. Give them some cream. Give them some crystals. Give them some marbles. Give them some sparkle. Give them some glitter. Ask them for things. They get a little mischievous. They'll start stealing your earrings and your keys if you give them that opportunity. But bribe them and they'll give them back.
Yeah, there's also the takers, which I've experienced, which are 10 to 12 inches high that I've seen, and they look like little people like you and me, and they're wearing clothes, and you're like, hey, that's where my freaking lost socks or lost pair of shorts or whatever went to. But we would call them the takers because they take your earrings or your lighter or your cigarettes or whatever, your freaking keys to your car, and you look everywhere, you can't find it anywhere, and I've learned to say, hey, can you please bring that back because I really need it, instead of looking everywhere a million times. And they will. They'll put it back right exactly where it was in the first place.
They will. Where you've looked 12 times, but now it's there. Yes.
Yeah.
Or they'll put it in the weirdest place that you know you never put them. Yeah.
Right.
Like,
They're
all
a little
right, I
nicer to
did
me
not
than that.
put my keys in my socks, but all right.
I'll accept it. It's funny. The first time I dealt with Fae was about 6 or so years ago that I know of, as far as, little people with wings. And like you said, they're very strong. And I've heard about Fae and Bigfoot working together. But for me, my team being so diverse, that's when I first really realized how much they had to give, because I'd never dealt with Fae. I believed in them, but I never knew they existed until we had this case, and they knew exactly what to do. Like you were saying, honey, cream. They even like toast with like jelly or, again, honey.
Oh.
So many different things, and you put it out there, and you can even plant little flowers and make little fairy garden or whatever to appease them for whatever you tore apart that they wanted, is what happened with this case. Yeah. They tore it apart, and then they got really pissed off, and they are so strong. They can throw dressers, like all kinds of things. It's amazing.
Yeah, they're pretty. I love the other world. The other world. There's so many amazing things in the other world.
It is. Well, we are at the end of our time, so could you tell our listeners how and where to find you?
Yes, please follow me, like me, join my newsletter. I'm PattiNegri.com, PattiNegri.com, Patti Negri. I'm Patti Negri on Facebook, or Patti Negri Psychic Medium for my pro page on Facebook. I'm Patti.Negri on Instagram. I'm Patti Negri on Twitter. I have a YouTube page with my Witches Brew. I have a regular newsletter that I say I spend every month, but I send it about every 3 or 5 or 6 months. But I do free magic. So please like me, follow me. I would love it. I have a book called Old World Magic for the Modern World. You can get it on Amazon in audiobook, print book, or Kindle book for $6 to $13. And I promise it will bring you balance and joy in your life if you actually do it.
And I know you also started your own radio show.
Oh, I do. Yes, the Witching Hour. Please, it's mine. I want to just raise to you what you do, Tessa. My God. Yes, I'm on dashradio.com Friday nights at 10 p.m. Pacific time. It's called The Witching Hour, Dash Radio, 10 p.m. Pacific time. And then 1 week later, everything moves to Anchor and Spotify, all the kind of usual places, and that's where the week-old audiences go. And then I also eventually we'll put them on YouTube in rough cut, no edit, taken with my cell phone YouTube video, where the only place you see audio, kind of like you put it up onto YouTube.